quite a flexible champion pool, especially BDD. I think has flexed it more than anyone else.
I think BDD is like, I keep saying this, and he was like player of the year last year as well. But I think that this has already been like the start of what could be BDD's best year, which is ridiculous because this guy debuted so many years ago. And he just keeps getting better and better.
It's not like his last year was bad or his 2024 was bad or his 2023 KT 17-1 was bad either. Like he's had just such a consistent run.
And it just keeps getting better, like individually. Yeah. Like BDD is just so incredibly good. On your screen right now, we do see the Pantheon is banned away this time, so passing the test is DK. They will have to take away the Rumble at the same time, but
that's
what is the next one that goes?
So they definitely should take that away. Well, we're looking at the Varus here actually by KT, and then you're looking at Orianna, you're looking at potentially the, I mean, with the Nocturne ban here, you could ban Ryze if you're really not
Karma has to be banned, right?
Karma, in the hands of Effort, has already proven to be a bit of an issue, so I think they have an answer to it. Like, they could try to play Seraphine into it, but I'm not a big fan of that.
It's an awkward one to first pick, to be honest. So the Jace is going to be taken away.
This is smart because Perfect has looked phenomenal on this pick, but they can either go Karma here or they can go Orianna. That's the trade.
Yep.
Karma, or you could
Orianna.
go Jarvan, I suppose, but I think I prefer the Karma.
So now you get the Orianna on the other side, and you can pick it up with the Jarvan, like you were talking about. So Lucid not going to have the Nocturne available to pair alongside this, but Orianna Jarvan is a lot of power.
So does BDD go for the Azir pick here, or the Ryze is what I expected, to be honest, because he's been so good at this pick, and you could just say, all right, on one hand, you guys have insane engage. You have the Orianna Shockwave, you have the Jarvan Cataclysm, you have the Ball Carrier.
Wow.
But we have the damage. And so they have the safe Ezreal pick here for damage. They get Ezreal Karma, and they get the Ryze, wave clear, and consistent late game damage. And sometimes that could be enough if you just play defensively. As the Nautilus pick here early is an opt-in to a lane. It's not going to be a fun time, let's just say.
I'm a little bit worried for how this one's going to go for D+. It all depends on what Smash is going to be playing. Obviously, if they have a lot of all-in potential in the early stages, you can navigate this lane, but it is still so incredibly difficult, especially when this Ezreal Karma gets rolling. First ban in our next round is going to be Xin Zhao, targeting the jungle here as Lucid has already locked away the Jarvan. The Xin, the Pantheon, now both banned away, as there goes the Sivir to pair with this Nautilus.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what Smash's plan is going to be. Trying to play Caitlyn here would be quite challenging.
Just Draven. Just Draven at Smash.
Draven
don't be scared.
Would be fun.
I don't think it's a good idea, but
I don't think they should play Ziggs Nautilus, and I don't think they should play Jhin either. So, their options are quite limited. As we'll see Vi as the jungle pool gets even thinner here for Cuz.
I mean, Cuz does have a fairly infinite champion pool.
I would like to see him on something tanky, but there's not a whole lot of great options for that.
Mundo!
I mean, actually, believe it or not, it could kind of work here.
Could be a thing.
They don't have a lot of CC. They have the binding from the Rune Prison. They have, you know, a little bit of Karma CC with the leash, but MF, another strong lane. I actually kind of would have liked the MF with the Nautilus. Felt like a strong lane. I'm thinking Caitlyn here. Draven would be a crazy one that needs really some sort of crazy pick to follow up with it, like a Camille top lane or something.
Yeah. I'm a bit intrigued as to where Smash is going to go here. We're going to have to find out, as he'll need to pick relatively soon. Unless they go for a top lane pick, but I think that would be kind of crazy. I think giving Xiu counter pick sounds like the best choice.
I mean, the problem is they pick Nautilus, right?
Oh,
like,
okay.
There's so many different lanes you can play if you don't pick Nautilus here. There's other range supports you could play. You could have played a Lulu lane and just tried to...
I mean, Nami was up, you know? Like, there's a bunch of choices. Obviously, they might have wanted to change like when they picked their support, and so therefore maybe Nami gets banned if you live in that kind of world, but Vayne top into the Gnar will be picked up by Perfect once again. He did this into Cassante earlier on in the year and picked up a victory.
It's gotta be. Is it gonna be like something like a Kindred? Are they going crazy mode?
Oh no, Effort. Remember the last game that they lost against Gen G, they lost it because he didn't hover Nasus. He hovered Teemo instead. And this time, He hasn't hovered Nasus yet.
Wukong actually kind of fits the bill here. Gives them the engage. It gives them extra peel. It works incredibly well with Karma. Gets the speed ups.
Where was the Nasus effort?
He's a changed man. This,
So
you are never going to sell me on this.
Well, I mean,
like,
you're not
never,
gonna win the lane, Wolf. You will not win the lane.
Like, of all the picks.
Wait, no, hear me out. I've got the cook on this one. Okay, so basically, you don't have Nocturne available, right? And Nocturne's really, really good at diving in and getting amazing ball placement. You know what Kai'Sa does? Dives in!
It would be pretty unfortunate if a dive target that Kai'Sa chose could have a Wukong on top of it to defend it, or a massive shield from a Karma, or also be an Ezreal that would just shift towards its friends. Kai'Sa's a great pick into Ezreal. Ezreal Karma, a bit of a different story. They have a Gnar, so there's a little bit of extra ranged AD damage. You know, if the player on Mega, there's some engage tools there as well. But you were playing Kai'Sa into double 80 carry with Ryze. There are 3 insanely consistent damage dealers here, and if you go on like Ryze as Kai'Sa, he's got Seraphs, he's probably just going to laugh at you, but even if you kill him, there's still 2 other threats. There's an Ezreal there, there's a Vayne there, and you're not going to live after you kill the first target. I think this draft here from CVMAX is a bit of an overcook for me. I like the Gnar, I like the Jarvan start. They've got engaged for days. The dive is strong, but there's too many targets to kill. You're going to need some big shockwaves, I think, if you make this draft work.
The thing is, they don't have a lot of health bar on the side of KT, right? I mean, Wukong is the closest thing to a tank that they have, so if they do manage to get onto a target, that target will die. It's just whether they can get to that point through KT in this game 1. All right, I've got more for you, Wolf.
All right, so give me all of the reasons why I should trust.
All right, no, don't trust. I'm not telling you, don't go that far. Don't be crazy on me. No. What I mean is, so there is the potential that Lucid pitches a tent. Okay. And in the 3v3 bottom lane, I actually feel like Jarvan, Kai'Sa, Nautilus could get something done.
I agree with what you're saying, because obviously the early game Wukong isn't going to have the same level of power as the Jarvan. Doesn't have CC. You know, is just able to do a little bit of burst damage. Has some mobility, which matters less when you're pitching a tent. But it's the problem of the minions. Like, the minions will be pushing for KT all the time. So there's a vision advantage there. There's always going to be, you know, brush control, the extra damage from the minions if you really wanted to extend a fight. These are all problematic things. And Effort's just going to keep poking, and he's, like, trying to bait hooks here as well. He's like, yeah, go for it. We also went barrier.
He's going to need a level 2 if he does want the hook.
Yeah.
I think Korea took W.
Yeah, you're right. That is correct.
But that's what happens when you just need to soak Qs over
there you
and
go.
over
There
again.
it is. Yep. As Effort knows he gets level 2 first, drops the W.
Well, at least the, yeah, Q going to land there from Smash, all onto Effort to try and get some damage there as Korea. Now looking for the opportunity as the level 3 gank is coming in for Lucid. Heal comes out. Let's see whether they can get any more. As the Arcane Shift out of aiming, that may spell the end of it. However, Korea goes forward, finds a bit of value, but will get snared. And now, even with the minions contending for it, that's a lot of damage towards Korea. But now it's the return journey. And that time, the flash is answered by Lucid. Aiming has a barrier, but does not have his life anymore. And the hook from downtown! That is the Korea we wanted to see today.
That was some shades of barrel right there.
That's what I'm talking about.
That was some barrel level shenanigans right there from Career. He's like, I'm going back in. Lucid's like, I don't have my buttons. I'm out of here. But he convinces Lucid to come back. And aiming an effort to like, nah, Lucid doesn't come back. And it's the play there from Career that tricks him, okay? Lucid's like, I don't have buttons. I don't have buttons. And aiming an effort like, oh, okay, Career, thanks for half your health bar. Lucid's like, aha.
I mean, we've also seen EQ flashes from Jarvans hit like this, but this answer was just gorgeous.
And aiming,
Lucid.
because he had flash, he thought he was safe there, but it's the flash from the Jarvan, like you said, that gets the flag drag to buffer into him and get the knock up. Clean stuff from Lucid, but, you know, I was very worried when Career went back in. I was like, oh, this is looking even potentially worse. And then, not only do they get the kills on the bottom lane there, they get both flashes out of aiming and effort. So a huge turnaround, and it took some trickery, but it's working.
The fact that Korea did that without using Flash is insane, because this lane relies so much on winning all-ins, and so having both of those flashes available means that even in the 2v2, they might be able to get something done. However, it is a cull that Smash has gone for. They may not necessarily be hyper-investing into more aggression towards this bottom side to snowball it through, maybe just accepting that they have now found themselves a little bit of leeway.
I mean, it's a huge win, and he could just go, okay, well, I'll explode in the mid-game. I have so much more money now. He's 650 up, and the problem is your first buy isn't going to take away Karma's buttons, so she's still going to just shove the lane in with the Ezreal. So I actually think this is the correct buy here from Smash. Just invest in a further future lead.
Yeah.
Don't look at this if you're a D+ fan. Just, you know, avert your eyes, because...
Hey, I don't see Korea on that list, okay?
True. He has been banned more than he has been picked as well. This Nautilus pick is really high prio in the LCK despite a lack of success.
Yeah. So let's see whether Korea can show us what all of the bans are about. As already, I mean, he is finding the angles, the flash forward, he manages to catch aiming after the arcane shift, and now Smash comes forward. Another knock-up from Lucid, and Smash collects his third of the game.
All right.
Okay, well, that might be your answer. Maybe that's right. That's it right there.
I guess so. What was the shift angle?
I don't know, but it was into an anchor.
Yeah, maybe just go back. I think he went to the side there. Let's watch again, because did my eyes deceive me, or did he?
I think he shifted. Oh my!
You gotta go left
Lord.
there.
He was like, "No effort, I'll save you."
Yeah.
We need the Celine Dion. That's what we need.
Well, Effort's heart will go on.
It will. Aiming stopped, unfortunately.
Yikes. Okay, well, that happens from time to time. You know, I wasn't convinced about the Kai'Sa pick, but at this point, I kind of feel like it could have been anything.
I mean, it's been picked into Ezreal all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it is the theoretical answer, but like you were saying, paired with the Nautilus, I think is a bridge too far.
Into Karma,
into this lane.
Yeah,
exactly
if it was like
right.
Ezreal, Leona, I'm like, sure, all day long, fine.
Yep.
Absolutely. But you know what? I guess if you just get 3 kills early, make me look very foolish by my take.
Hey, do you know what the best thing is? As Korea is going to have to get out of here because there's a Realm Warp coming on forward. No flash available for Korea as now Smash, I don't think he's going to be helping. And Korea does connect the anchor, but he's dead before it actually does anything. Or at least I thought he hit the anchor. Regardless, he was going to die.
Look at the river. There are 4 control wards across the river here by KT Rolster, and
would you say that they control the river?
They do have quite a bit of control, and they end up getting this gank off because they know that Lucid is not in the vicinity. Clearing his top jungle. They pull this off. They don't have enough power to start the dragon, and Cuz just got level 6. But I think this was a really good read from KT, and despite the early deficit here and the lack of attention that Cuz has given to this bottom lane because he is Wukong, and he thought that, you know, Karma Ezreal should be self-sufficient, especially with Ezreal's shift ability. But they ended up getting a lot of vision elsewhere on the map and are still able to turn this into a win.
My lord, Effort is so brave. Isn't he so... Another great hook, but a good arcane shift to answer it this time around.
They may be able to start Dragon D+ here. They have a lot of control with the back timing here of KT. Lucid's in the area. I think they should clear this wave as soon as possible and then head over and start it up. That's exactly what they're planning to do here. So this could be an extension of this early game, really working out quite heavily for D+. It's a strong early Dragon, so Soul a little bit nerfed by that as Effort is here, and it looks like we might have a... I don't think you can really contest this.
Well, the Drake is just going to get left alone.
Wow.
Yeah, Lucid will back away, respecting a lot the fact that Cuz probably level 6. That Cyclone is very scary, could have been right there. And Showmaker will be able to clear out this way. We haven't really checked in on the mid lane. The first roam there from VOD was definitely good, but it did cost him a few minions, so Showmaker is ahead a little bit in that department.
Early Phage here for Perfect, starting to put the pressure on Xiu. Had the lane frozen against Xiu pretty heavily early on, so built up a 300 gold lead here. And no call buy or anything like that, just trying to naturally bully this Gnar where the attention has been bottom side. And all the while, because of this prio here, Cuz is going to start up the grubs, and there isn't a response just yet. BDD doesn't have teleport, obviously, and doesn't have Realm Warp, so there's no support for Cuz here, but because he's Wukong, he can just nope out if Lucid tries to challenge, which he will.
Yeah, he is going to nope out, like you say. But 2 grubs go over to KT. Very, very happy about that. She hits Mega and is trying to be frustrating, but I think Perfect is going to be all right with that tumble available.
Got the
pretty
exhaust,
difficult
though.
to wallop him.
Pretty good for
Hey, that's a good point.
Shiu. I feel like he's very happy with that. You know, the grubs were denied. All 3 of them, that is to say, especially with Ryze in this game. Would be really annoying if he did have that. Can they get over here and stop the dragon is the question, because right now Lucid is clearing his topside jungle. KT have had so much vision on this dragon, so they know that D+ aren't doing it, but they haven't actually pulled the trigger themselves just yet. And waiting for the first Cyclone.
I think this game has really changed. After the champion select, I did feel like KT would be in really good standing in the early stages. Right now, we're seeing the DK have a slight lead in the early game. I'm wondering what it kind of looks like for the mid game now that DK are off to such a good start.
Well, I think the real problem for KT is that this Kai'Sa has Kraken Slayer before her call is cashed in, you know? This is where, even if Showmaker is dead even, he doesn't have to have the lead. He's set up as, okay.
Well, there's a shockwave onto BDD, but Lucid's already out of there, or at least attempting to, as Cuz goes forward. He has to flash to respect the Cyclone. Cuz doesn't push the button, so no flash now for the Jarvan is a huge deal, as Korea is trying to get over here as quickly as possible.
Aiming needs help. He's not going to be able to catch this wave here. He's going to true shot.
Yeah, so Smash takes a bit of damage, but otherwise it is this whole minion wave basically taken down. Aiming does get there for the cannon.
Okay.
Not too much of it actually is going to be removed.
Good crisis management here from KT. They group up as Lucid's trying to take this blue buff away in return.
Yeah, it does have Showmaker there alongside him, and BDD needs to back. So they're not going to be able to challenge for this. It will be a successful steal.
The Ezreal, going back to your original point, though, of like, you know, how does this mid-game look? The Ezreal is significantly behind. It's not just that this Kai'Sa has 3 kills, but the Ezreal's lost some farm, you know, didn't get to have the pushing lane he was hoping for, only has 1 plate worth of gold, so the 2-item spike is significantly delayed. And while this Kai'Sa is incredibly strong, you know, the Vayne isn't online yet. Obviously, the Ryze is still putting together components here. So if you end up winning an early team fight here with this Kai'Sa, this lead can, it's already pretty massive, but it can balloon quite heavily. So KT really need to respect the fact that this is such a strong comp early and is so much stronger in this game, the scenario we're in this specific game. So any combo set up from Lucid and Showmaker, if it hits, could be disastrous, maybe even game ending.
Well, Effort, I think, will need to flatten. No, he'll need to die. He's just going to die. So Showmaker going to pick that one up. Caught warding there a little bit. Effort a little out of position is not what we've been seeing out of him so far this season. That's a great pickup here for DK, putting them 4-1 and should be able to guarantee the Dragon.
Unfortunately for Cuz, he wanted to, you know, go topside, finish clearing that jungle, and then maybe make an impact there before starting Dragon. So Effort wanted to go over and make sure they could continue to have vision around the Drake itself and the entry point there in the river, but ends up getting caught and taken out with really nothing expended for D+. You know, they just kind of kill him for free, get the Dragon anyways, and there is just no counterplay. There's no follow-up here for KT. And Cuz was on the wrong side of the map, finds himself about 400 gold behind himself.
Speaking of the wrong side of the map, there's a Killer Instinct out of Smash. Cuz gets into position though, and that is a Cyclone and a very dead Kai'Sa. Showmaker now looks for BDD as the anchor somehow lands yet again, but the Shockwave doesn't, and so they won't have the follow-up damage to take down the Ryze. Final hour was procced here towards the top side as Shiu did go extraordinarily low, but getting the shutdown onto Smash, a huge deal here for KT.
Looks like Aiming's going to greed for plates here as well, and I think he absolutely can because he has the coverage here from Effort. And so he'll get a plate and deny all of these minions. So going back to the initial play here, Smash just does not have the full information that Effort is here, and so finds himself having to look for this all-in, but Aiming has barrier, Cuz shows up, uses the Cyclone with the Warrior's Trickster, doesn't have to flash. That's a big overextension. Luckily for D+, the kill goes over to Wukong. He uses gold well, but I think that KT would have rather Aiming pick up that kill. But
Aiming would have definitely rather.
He's the gold king.
Yeah, he's the gold king for a reason, and that is because he takes all of the gold, mostly from his team. So that is something he'll be sad about personally, because certainly not. And Wukong, Ryze, I think, are going to be the big carries in this game if KT are going to look good. But still, I mean, the gold lead has only extended here for DK since the early game. And it's still 1.6k here for Smash. And this Kai'Sa is what this DK comp's about, right? Like, Showmaker, of course, is going to be really, really important, but largely for utility, it's Smash getting down that consistent DPS in these team fights. And so he needs to be strong. Rageblade on the way, will be done relatively soon. And Smash is just doing his very best to get there, get to these 2-item, 3-item spikes, and make something happen.
Yeah, Perfect does have his Hex Plate ready. This is the build he went for last time around.
Yep.
Just constantly using your ultimate to apply pressure in lane, and then in team fights later on. Is trying to generate a bigger lead here, but it has not really grown that much. Unfortunately for him, Shiu was handling this matchup incredibly well. Only 10 CS down, only about 100 gold in it.
And if he's going to stay at this deficit, then the Gnar is going to be so much more useful later on in the game, right? Like, Gnar actually kind of can contribute in a team fight, whereas Vayne is a lot more about finding those jewels, and you don't really have the kind of AoE to make things happen. So
I think that the problem for KT is that, you know, this Gnar, if it's shut down, will have really big problems setting up in team fights. But with Smash being as ahead as he is, Shiu has so much more agency. He's not just going to flop in side lanes. He'll actually be able to push as well. And, you know, this Vayne, like you said, doesn't do AoE damage as, okay, a bit of a choice here from Career.
Yeah, a choice indeed. As it's just supportal combat with aiming coming on over to convince Career to leave. Will acquiesce for now. And Effort is thinking about where to go. He was considering heading up towards that top side to try and make something happen, but that is not going to be his choice. We'll just head back towards this mid lane to help his Ezreal out. BDD over here. They do have... everyone's quests are now completed after BDD does do his, but Smash now with 2 items is big.
This is the Rage Blade spike here for the Kai'Sa early on. You're going to do so much in team fights, and actually, in this game state, before everyone comes online, you're actually a really consistent damage threat with this build. Is nice.
Good Warrior Trickster.
Yeah, getting out of there. But the next Dragon here for KT, they have to make a tough choice. They wanted to scale up to triple DPS threat, or do they want to risk this fight, try to look for a nice Cyclone angle, maybe catch somebody? Because if you lose this fight, I think D+'s lead just gets too big.
And I think you have to pick your battles pretty effectively as KT.
Wow, and D+ find this pocket of vision here. Okay, now we are going to see Shiu dove, but he has got this Mega.
Yeah, Mega is in a great position. They do really need to respect the ultimate, but there is the Condemn, as Shiu will go down. Perfect is just going to proc those Silver Bolts, and down he will go. That will be the first turret of the game going over to KT in trade for the Rift Herald.
BD gets all that money, and that's huge for him. I think it was a little bit greedy from D+ to try to go for the Herald early with no protection down there. Shiu did unfortunately kind of have a bit of a whiff there with his Mega and got zoned out. The Condemn was really good. But if he can buy more time, then maybe this ends up being a better situation for D+. Because I think the idea was, okay, he'll hold his own here. They can't dive him. We're going to grab Herald, and then we'll use the Herald to then pressure for Dragon. They can still do that, but they would have liked to not have a dead Gnar and BDD get first break.
Yeah. Probably would have been a little bit of a better thing, as Smash does pick up his Berserker's Greaves. We're going to check this one out one more time, as like you were saying, the Condemn timing, very, very nice. Just layer the CC.
Ruins what she was trying to do here, and he still plays it as well as he can.
Yeah.
In live, BDD got sent to the top lane, and he doesn't have Teleport. He has Realm Warp, but it's, you know, only level 2 right now, so I don't think he's going to the Dragon.
Effort is just going to get flashed on and killed once again in the river. And Shiu is now feeling a little bit better about how this one is going.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, there's no real...
Korea, I think, may have just felt sorry for Effort and is going to go the same way. True Shot Barrage is going to connect, but he does get his shield back.
He's literally Beryl, right?
Yeah, he is. I mean, so is Effort, though. I mean, the spirit of Beryl is alive on both of these teams. Of course, he is a former player of both of them, and so it does make some sense.
He gets away with his life this time, but this is going to be the Dragon going over to D+. KT had made the choice to give Dragon, but they also, unfortunately, were still caught in the river with their support, as BDD wants to duel Shiu here with no MR.
It doesn't really look like a duel, though. It just looks like Shiu taking a whole bunch of damage and looking to try and escape if he can. Finally, some of these hyperprocs will come on through. And it's a Cloud Soul this game as well. Double Dragon going over to DK. A lot of extra movement speed. I actually feel like Cloud Soul for DK specifically it's kind of nuts.
It's crazy what the value could be for them. Like, all of their ultimates are so high impact. I mean, it's great for Wukong, it's great for Vayne as well, but they're
also
so
like getting movement speed after pressing depth charge, pretty good here for both keeping Korea alive and for, you know, him to be able to lock down some extra kills. So that's certainly going to be good if they can continue stacking these dragons.
The lead for Smash is still the main issue here for KT Rolster, and you know, they made the call to give Dragon. They were not able to get that topside turret, but I think that if they can stabilize in this mid game, you know, there's still some time left, and if they can get just one Dragon, you know, even this first Cloud Drake, it's so much time bought for this composition to come online because the smash is on his 2 items incredibly early, and Aiming is still hoping he can get his before 21 minutes. You know,
Yeah.
He's had a bit of a rough one. Actually gets it right here at 18:30, and a little bit more gold than I thought. It's more about the fact that Smash is ahead than he's behind in this one, so does pick it up here. But now he's finally kind of a champion, and BDD is one day he'll be one. But if they can kind of survive here and get this Rise online, Ezreal, Rise, Vayne, late game is pretty crazy. It's pretty insane what damage output they have. And like I said, with Smash and the whole dive composition here for D+, if they only kill 1 target, that's not enough if we get to that late game. Right now, they can almost only kill half of 1 target, and it's actually still enough.
Yeah. And also, I mean, DK, if they do kill one of them, then they all just kind of fall like dominoes after that point, right? Unless Cuz finds incredible angles. With his Cyclone, will have Inspire help there from Effort as well. But I think DK very happy with the spot that they are in the game for now. Problem is that DK have certainly made some eclectic decisions later on in some of their games. And so we'll just have to see whether they can keep their heads on a swivel and make this one work.
I remember it was their team fight outplays that got them that upset win over Gen G, first time in 21 series. So that's where KT will have to fight their way back, is through that good team fighting here.
Yep.
I really favor D+ right now, even though it looks like, you know, maybe this could fall apart at a moment's notice with an overextension. I think they have the skills to back this up. I think with Smash's lead, he's now going to itemize into AP so he can get his W evolved and really harass KT on objectives. Like, they're doing everything right. I love the build from Smash, especially with the lead he has. It is just
Dusk
so
and Dawn is
impressive.
so ridiculous on this champion as well.
It's so good. Aiming's going in.
Yeah, it's not looking like, without it completed, it's not going to do as much as Aiming, just demonstrating the power spike that he's on. And that is going to be Smash heading on back. I think he might look for a little bit of a recall here. I don't know how close he is to his Dusk and Dawn. I think he went for a relatively recent back, picked up a Blasting Wand and the Ruby Crystal, so might still be a little while away.
Yeah, probably just a few more waves or a team fight win if there is an opportunity. Baron is really the only objective right now, and even though he is very ahead, it's still a Kai'Sa comp with an Orianna, so not a Baron that you can rush just now. Later on, we'll be able to do it quickly as BD is just going to get away with this. Empowered Recall for the win.
Yep, we'll just be leaving on that one. Showmaker, actually, BDD stuck around, and so Showmaker overextended now, unaware of where this Rise is. Korea, though, moving on over. Cuz looking to get himself up here as Lucid going to show up, blocks Cuz's approach. BDD down to 50%, so is Showmaker, and it looks like both teams a little bit unsure about whether they want to keep fighting, but with BDD leaving, KT do agree that they will stop the chase.
KT had 5, though, and Shiu is getting some free farm on the edge, as well as Smash just returns back to mid lane very quickly. We'll clear that ward, and also we'll have a lot of extra push. It's got to be close to that Dusk and Dawn, like you were saying.
Pretty smart play, actually, out of DK.
They realized it pretty quickly that there was something suspicious going on. Like, Showmaker's like, why would he let me push up this far? Then they spotted him and just reacted so quickly. They have a Kai'Sa that can come from mid lane from so far away. Obviously, the Ezreal can impact with True Shot Barrage, but it's just not the same. And I think it was the great call from D+ the way they played it, and also for KT to back out and not try to go for like a Flash Cyclone commitment there, because that probably would have been the end of the game for them if they messed it up.
Well, Essence Reaver is now completed for Perfect. As Vayne starting to get scary, but it's another blue steal here for Lucid, not to be confused with the Zoolander look. It's a steal of the blue buff. As now, Cuz goes in, goes out as they look for Effort. Cataclysm onto Aiming, gets the Arcane Shift. A bunch of buttons now on cooldown, but KT still feeling all right. Showmaker getting closed in on. Shockwave collects only one of them, and they take down the Orianna. The target selection's so good, but on the other side, the same thing happens as DK wipe out the bottom lane. Now, Korea goes in, misses the hook, but hits the death charge, and BDD gets knocked up and taken down. It's a double for Smash as another anchor lands onto Perfect, and it's a triple. Space Vayne is better than regular Vayne, as there is the Void Seeker as well. That's going to get a cheeky little assist there for Smash as the ace comes in for DK.
And it's exactly what you said. If one of these carries falls down for KT at this point, they fall over like dominoes, and Aiming loses half of his health bar. I really like this call to go in for the Realm War, but Aiming actually cannot get in. He's used both his Flash and his Arcane Shift, so he just has to kite his way out, gets gets over the wall here as it just barely comes back, but Shiu gets him over the wall. Smash follows up. And now they're stuck on, and they have to fight their way out of this. Cuz is trying to peel here, but BDD gets caught by this Nautilus ultimate. And I think if he doesn't get hit by that, maybe they can do enough damage to where more of these KT members get out. But because he is just deleted there by Career, tossing that ultimate in, they just get wiped here. And KT Rolster lose Baron on top of it. As you guys can see in the picture-in-picture, Dusk and Dawn is picked up for Smash. And I think KT is about to lose their second game of the tournament.
Yeah, and he also gets an arm guard. Man, Smash is absolutely huge. He also soloed the Drake at the same time. So it's just kind of getting everything here for DK. Soul Point as well as that Baron. Let's see whether they can use this composition to siege. It doesn't necessarily have the most massive range, but they have a lot of brute force. And Smash will be able to take himself a little bit of Shellfish and collect a red buff here as they now start to see whether they can knock down a few more of these turrets. Inna's still up and available and pretty healthy here on KT's side. As we have a look at the money, man, there's a new Gold King in town and his name's Smash.
A lot of money here for him, and unfortunately, Aiming's lane was just such a disaster early on. He's just possibly never ever going to be relevant in this game. I think for KT, you got to keep yourself in the headspace of we are scaling, and also there's still a best of 3 because things went disastrously wrong. You had the Ezreal Karma lane, but it was unfortunately some misplays down there and some great play from Lucid that just got this Smash, Kai'Sa, played by Smash, so far ahead that it is just unplayable. And now he's 4.5k up, sitting on 3.5 items, and they're looking to end this game.
Yeah, they're pushing in at least. This inner turret not long for the world as Shiu should be able to secure that one. The 4-1 working out nicely. As finally KT do come over. They should actually be able to defend this, so spoke a little bit untruly there, but DK with the push advantage and this Baron buff will really be able to pull KT around the map wherever they would like. Another minion wave crashes in the mid lane. That is going to spell the end of that inner. So it feels like only a matter of time. The DK are going to be able to wear them down. KT probably going to have to go for a bit of a Hail Mary play here.
The Rise is doing massive work here for KT because the wave clear is so good with this champ. They even have a Karma, right, and Ezreal is decent, so it's going to buy them a lot of space here to try to buy time for at least keeping 2 inhibitors alive rather than losing both of them. Like, that's what I mean at the bottom and the mid. I don't think they're even going to get the one on the bottom, though, because they could just rotate aiming and effort over here. And in fact, as Baron push is kind of stymied now, and I think that's fair for D+. You're so ahead, back off, get more control over the map, play for Dragon. Your soul is within reach. You know, if you get that Cloud Soul, this game is already unlosable.
Yeah.
You don't want to just keep pushing into this Rise wave clear and just lose sight of the lead that you have. You want to get the reset that you want. And they do that. And they still have 30 seconds of Baron left to maintain prio and then push some deeper vision. And they have so much of it already.
Next Baron might be what they're looking for, as Aiming does collect his Spear of Sojourn. So he has 3 items now, but we're very close to a Zhonya's being done for Smash. This Kai'Sa is a very big deal.
And he might not even need to use his arm guard, which wouldn't shock anyone considering the game state.
Yeah, he basically already has Zhonya's, doesn't he? Because he hasn't actually broken that arm guard just yet. So some Crystalline Overgrowth to be taken down here, as they will be able to look for their last inner turret with the dregs of this Baron. It does finally wear off. It's all the Warrior Tricks of timing from Cuz. Just gorgeous. And that will avoid that, but it won't stop this turret from being obliterated.
D+ get a ton of money off of this Baron, but they don't get the inhibitors. And for KT, that was the goal. You know, you're just hanging on by a thread with those inhibitors alive. And maybe you could scale up, right? I mean, giving this Dragon over feels horrible, and maybe they could set up some sort of crazy angle to contest it, but they may just simply have to give it and pray for that late game Elder fight to be theirs.
They also never get any of their buffs, though. Like, DK just own the entirety of the map right now, and there is just, it feels like there's no way for KT to get in, because Effort, as soon as he walks anywhere to get vision, he's dead. No matter who finds him, they just kill him.
They just cannot get out of the base right now. And I think trying to fight for a buff is exactly what D+ wants. You know, trying to get the fight in, you know, prio for mid. It's exactly what D+ wants. Look, Career's fishing for it. All the while, Shiu has teleport and is pushing the top lane. The setup here for D+ macro-wise is phenomenal. Doing everything right.
Steric's completed here for the Gnar. Very close to that Wit's End being done. And that means that BDD matching him in side lanes is going to be a little bit more difficult. As we get the full zoom out, a huge teleport angle for the Gnar. As Shiu's Gnar is in a pretty good position, but he's right on top of a ward and a little bit too close to KT, but he gets out. I don't know how he managed to, but he managed to. As Career goes in, probably wants to go back out. As KT also, I mean, they don't want to fight, but they would have really liked a free Gnar.
Yeah,
but now, Xiu uses it to get himself a couple of plates in this mid lane as well, and push KT completely away from this dragon. So somehow, it actually works out as he gets the Gnar to get him out of the Cyclone. The Realm Warp does nothing at all as they opt out of that play. And now without Cyclone, KT cannot team fight at all, ever. They still might have to, though, as the Shockwave needs to get flashed out there by BDD. In goes Xiu, looking for an angle once again. He's down very low. That Steric Shield did some work, but they do take out the Gnar. Smash gets the Void Seek on aiming, somehow threading the needle into the back line. And KT, they get a pick and lose no one.
KT pushing now to try to challenge this midway for the first time in forever. The mid-outer is still on 4 plates right now. And KT are not going to push any further, but I think D+, you could have just taken the dragon for free. The teleport flank for, well, I mean, it cost Xiu his life ultimately in the end.
Yeah.
He went for the TP play. They got the flash out of effort, at least on that initial setup there. But I think that TP play was a bridge too far. And then Xiu has no flash, and he's walking forward here. Like, this is greed. This is unnecessary.
He had no Mega Gnar, so it was just a little bit of an odd maneuver.
Also, Showmaker trying to hit a flash holding Rise with the... actually, he didn't even flash it. I thought BDD flashed that.
I thought he did too.
But anyways, he had flash.
That flashed it instead. I guess someone flashed out of the Shockwave.
Yeah, it wasn't effort. It was Cuz in that case. But either way, you know, trying to look for that play means you lost your tool. Maybe Xiu didn't get the memo that Shockwave wasn't up anymore. Anyways, they're still massively ahead. They're in total control of this game, but I don't think they should have given that freebie over.
Yeah, okay, so we're going to write that down as a little bit of a note. Like, maybe check this one out for next time, guys. That was not a perfect play. Speaking of perfect, he is now discovering that there's a Xiu towards the southern side of the map, as the Condemn is going to be used pretty early. Mega Gnar is going to come on through. And DK looking to make their way back towards the Baron after pushing KT away.
KT are just playing Wave Clear Simulator. You know, they're just clearing these
this
waves.
Baron just goes down so quickly as well.
They can't contest it. And the Elder isn't up for 4 minutes. And KT, their best bet, and even this is kind of a stretch, is to try to push and grab Bounty off of this turret.
And Showmaker, you can see, he can block off so much terrain with the orb. Korea is there as well.
They're trying
as the Baron has been taken. Cuz this time doesn't hit the Warrior Trickster, as he does finally press the button, but there's the depth charge onto Perfect. Shockwave mops up the monkey, and DK are looking for even more. KT running the wrong direction. The exhaust is good from Perfect. That'll keep him alive with the Inspire Shield there as well, but the rest of DK swoop in and look to take down BDD. That'll be their first prize as Perfect teleports away. I just don't think that that's going to be winning them the game, as DK are just looking to finish off the stragglers, aiming being one of them, as the Arcane shifts away. The flash in from Lucid hits him again with that QE flash. And DK will break open the base now. Let's see whether they can even push to end.
I think they can. There's just not enough wave clear here anymore. BDD is down for 30 seconds. That should be the game. D+, one small error, but one we can easily forgive. KT thought, I'm not giving Baron for free. I'm getting mid-turret. DK said, we're getting Baron, and we're going to get the win. Right with it.
It's the final hour here for Perfect, and let's see whether he can make it work, as the Shockwave does not connect. The Void Seeker does, though. 4 seconds on the Killer Instinct, but there's no seconds on the Nexus. It's going to be taken down, and DK continue their reign of terror over the LCK. First it was Genji, now it's KT. We'll see whether they can break the winning streak with another victory in this series.
And it was, I think, the first flub from effort and aiming as a duo, where they really just kind of had a rough start. I mean, they were outplayed there, but there was a lot of greed. They really underestimated the power of that early Jarvan with their Wukong is AFK because he's a Wukong, right? He's not going to be down there.
And this is what we were talking about, right? It's the 3v3 that's so much better.
But then if it's a 3v2, you know, if you're not expecting it, it's even worse. And like, the fact that this Kai'Sa was given a free pass is my biggest issue for KT here, because I didn't like this Kai'Sa in the draft. I thought it wasn't going to work out, but they got so much value early, and Smash took over the game. Showmaker became a huge problem. Xiu actually handled the Vayne matchup incredibly well, and D+ end up getting the W. I'm still not going to say I thought the draft was great for them, but the play
made it worth it.
Yeah, and they got the draft into a position where it did work as well, right? Being able to put down the Ezreal Karma is no mean feat, especially when it's Pilot. Like, Aiming has said that he's in love with playing Ezreal, but now it is time for us to take a short break. When we get back, the space is going to break down game number 1, and then we will have the second game of the series. See you there.
이제 덤벼야 돼.
천천히 보자 얘들아.
공 노플이다 이거. 끌어도 돼.
야,
나 볼게 살짝.
잘못 들어가도 돼.
노플.
아웃라인부터.
뭔데? 아 찐이다 찐.
야 이거 공 노플이야. 공 노플이야.
아 오케이 오케이.
오케이.
형나 공 좀.
아이디 높게.
잡고.
야 이제 볼게 이제 볼게.
아 궁 없다 천천히.
네.
아 천천히. 얘들아 미드 가면 돼 미드 미드.
아 보자 와봐.
야 감자
야
천천히.
보자 괜찮아.
못 받아.
에이피 라이즈 라이즈.
천천히 보자 천천히.
이제.
라이즈.
각자 얘들아. 야 나 베인 잡으러 간다.
이거 잡아봐. 야야 이제 여기.
나 혼자
이제.
잡을게.
예, 끝나.
이제 버스 형 이제 안 해요
야
형.
베인 잘 탔다 얘들아.
아 벨트?
야 끝내러 가자.
야 이제 아래.
레이저 볼게 내가.
라이브 왔다.
나랑 시간랑 끝내러 갈게.
아 잡았어?
당연한 거 같아 이러면. 미드 가자.
노플 노플.
미드 와봐 내가 끝내면.
Yeah, we'll see whether that is actually going to work out here for KT or whether they're going to draft into it is more relevant. But let's see what the bans are going to bring out. Last time, Nocturne, Bard, and Varus were banned by KT, and Pantheon, Rumble, and Jace were taken away from D+. This time around, though, they get to ban away BDD's Azir, things like this, because they have a bit more flexibility on the first pick side.
Yeah.
I was about to say blue side, but it's not actually the blue side.
Rumble's got to go. Pantheon's got to go. Varus, I think probably should go, but
This is weird that they're banning the Pantheon on first pick.
yeah, I wonder what their game plan is going to be. Nocturne is one of the junglers that comes to mind, but Xin Zhao obviously really strong here too for D+, but not really first pick territory right now. Once the Bard is gone.
Yeah, again, Korea getting back-to-back respect for his Bard play. That is fantastic. Last time looked brilliant on the Nautilus, so I think continuing to focus some bans his way is a really good idea. But having a look at the list, I mean, Varus is the big one that kind of stands out.
Maybe Ashe is the ban here. Okay, they banned Nocturne on their side. Thought perhaps they were fishing for something with the Nocturne themselves. Lulu Yunara is a really strong lane, and it's one of the biggest duos I think you get on second pick. So they'll take away the Vi. So is it just a early Ashe pick here for D+, or are they going for something a little bit different? Xin Zhao is the clear winner in terms of jungle picks available right now, but not really what you'd pick first pick for necessarily.
Yeah, especially, it is very strange that it's the Vi band away. Obviously, that was the one that Lucid found the most success on when he was back in Challenger, things like this, years past. But I don't feel like right now in the current meta, the Vi is all that strong. But Showmaker feels like the Annie is all that strong.
It's just, it seems like it's the best, safest pick, but it doesn't feel like they got necessarily what they wanted. This is what I was worried about.
Yeah, so I actually think that this is much better, though, when you haven't locked a bottom lane yet. So now DK can answer this with whatever they want, knowing that they're going into an Ashe Seraphine.
Well, the question is, what do they answer it with no Bard here? Obviously, the Karma is gone. That's one of the winning lanes there. They could deny the Seraphine, pick it away, but is not a lot of great lanes for that right now. And you're also then give them counter pick for support, and they could change the way this lane functions entirely. Going for Jace is a safe choice here. You already have decent setup, and this is a relatively safe blind pick because they have to pick the Seraphine on 3 if you're not going to deny it, so you can ban the Yorick.
It's actually really cute.
And Scion.
Forcing them to make that decision, either playing Ashe without the Seraphine or not having that Yorick to go into the Jace. The protection of the Scion and the Yorick can also come on through as Lucid considering the Lee Sin. And that will be locked away, something that Lucid has found a lot of success on in the past. But I see the Lee Sin today, and I'm a little bit worried. The Seraphine going to be snap locked though, so those protection of the Jace bands are going to come on through pretty freely here by D+.
Yeah.
But the bottom lane is very scary now, especially with the Xin Zhao locked in for Cuz.
Any range supports you're worried about, you take care of now. But even most range supports still don't win this lane for you. The Nautilus is gone as well, so those all-ins are gone.
I like this.
They take away the Zeri Yuumi.
So Yuumi was something that Korea played. Actually, I think it was the first one to play it here in the LCK, and it was horrendous. But we know that the Zeri Yuumi can actually find success into this lane if piloted well.
There's some all-in angles for sure. I think it was Keria and Pays who played it better later on.
Yeah. We have seen examples of how it's supposed to go. It just was not demonstrated in its first game.
I'm worried that they might try to go for a Lucian Nami in the bottom lane.
Or a Corki Nami or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's going to be really tough to pull off. It follows up for the Annie really well, like incredibly well. But getting out of the laning phase isn't going to be easy. Varus actually wasn't banned this entire time. That's a ranged answer to try to kind of outpoke.
I feel like Ashe is a decent matchup into the Varus, though. I feel like you're not as worried about the range and
This
sort of thing.
Got to be a Yorick ban, I think. I don't think there's anything else they're worried about unless they prefer to ban Scion and take away both tanks from Perfect.
Yeah. I'd be a little bit worried if they don't ban the Yorick. It's going to be Mel instead.
Mel. The thing about the Yorick is it doesn't work well with the rest of this comp necessarily. It doesn't follow up on arrows because it's usually not there.
Jax.
This is a very different answer. We have not seen this pick in the LCK.
Okay.
I'm kind of into it though because it sets up a bigger front line for Seraphine, and Seraphine interacts with the Jax very well. Instead, they're going to go for stock standard.
I mean, this draft from KT is just gorgeous. I think
all
it's
the
very
answers.
similar to what we saw them pilot into Bro just at the end of last week.
So things get really interesting for BDD's final pick. We don't know what the bottom lane is going to be here for D+ Kia because they let this through, right? It was a heavy cost. And the Ziggs answer has been mixed in terms of its results so far here in the LCK. And this does not give them any form of consistent damage. It is, you know, the damage that you're going to have from his buttons and the burst that comes with it, the burst and the shockwave. But you don't have an 80 carry in this draft at all.
Yeah, there's not a lot of physical damage, as Korea is thinking about a Camille.
What if you go Jace mid and, you know, it's Annie support?
Oh, honestly, that's probably a bridge too far.
Yeah, I don't
but
think
it is
so.
kind of
It's
fun.
a fun idea.
Because then you also dodge the Yorick matchup.
I think playing Camille into Ashe Seraphine does not sound very fun to me.
I also think that Annie and Ziggs together doesn't sound like a bottom lane that's real. So instead, it's going to be the Pyke Ziggs, and that gives a bit of extra physical damage. And Korea has looked great on the Pyke as well.
Is he going to play Victor, or is he going to play Syndra and try to just get further ahead and try to push this Annie out of lane? Or just play Hui. Kind of forgot about this pick that BD kind of has in his back pocket. We see it come out every now and then. Similar to Chovy, you know, we saw players like Bulldog utilize this past its prime, but still a very good pick in terms of range. Now, we saw the play from Nangung on this Pyke actually find success. Like, he actually was able to get a great early game off very early on in the season against Honda Life Esports. Career, he was flipping through the Camille pick right, and the second the Pyke got locked in, he took his jacket off. Like he's
like, ready to lock in.
I'm sweating a little bit, but I'm ready to lock in. You know, that was the vibe I got from him here. I really like this draft from KT, but the draft of D+ Kia is very simple and a lot of comfort, I think, across these players. And so it certainly can work given the right circumstances. They'll have to get through the laning phase with this Pyke roaming and making a lot of plays elsewhere. Shut down the Hui and let this Jace really fly in this game. Without jungle resources, it'll be tough, but it is possible for D+ to win with this comp. But I think KT kind of got everything they wanted. They got the counter picks they were looking for, and their draft is insanely meta and robust.
Yeah, I'm actually very interested in how this one is going to go, because I feel like the front line of D+ isn't quite there, but they have so much firepower and so much range as well. It doesn't necessarily look like much of a poke composition because there's an Annie there, but with Ziggs and Jace, you can really pepper them with so many spells before you get into a team fight. And then Lucid, if he's able to then fish for the angle alongside Korea, it can be really explosive. So I'm very much looking forward to how this one's going to go. Let's get into the Rift for game number 2. All right, here we are. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Summoner's Rift. As the flash stun onto BDD, the Bone Skewer as well. They're looking to focus him down, but it's Showmaker that dies first. Oh my goodness. Sometimes the game is kind of done at level 1.
Are we going to watch 2 games back-to-back where the early game is decided by some shenanigans and then we have to watch the team that's behind struggle? It might be the case, Atlas.
Yes, perhaps.
Well, let's just say this. KT had a pretty, as you know, Malhouse would say, they had an inkling that D+ was going to look for an aggressive level 1 here, and they were just all grouped up with the Seraphine level 1 to answer it. So a kill goes over to Effort first. He picks up first blood, and a kill goes over to Aiming second there. So a lot of gold in this Ashes pocket. Obviously not able to buy items with this money just yet, but feeling very strong about their early laning phase here. His career has no XP.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit more tough now,
yes,
you could say. Both mid laners with no flash as well. Both junglers do have theirs, but let's have a look at this one more time.
So BDD is kind of...
They just knew.
He's hard baiting, is what I would say.
Yeah.
And he kites back to the left here, flashes away, shields come through.
And Lucid missing the Q there as well. I don't think it would have made any difference whatsoever because of the flash angle from BDD. So very nicely played there. Does mean that now we can see Aiming with a 500 gold lead, and so does Effort. Oh dear, Cuz looking to make his way in and just pressure Showmaker somewhat. He will be able to do that. As this cannon, he really wants to collect, but the fear is going to prevent it.
Here for Aiming. Picks up 2 waves. Oh,
nice Bone Skewer there from Korea, but does not quite have any follow-up.
Yeah, we'll at least stop the back, because it looked like he was going to get the freest back of his life. He was considering ghosting back to lane, you know?
Yeah.
And we'll stop that back, because he is in such a fantastic spot now. But that will help even up the CS. And we'll see what he can pick up here. 2 daggers and boots. So that's pretty good for Ash. Feels really quite oppressive. Harder to hit your Qs as Smash now, and the Ash follow-up is stronger. He still has Ghost. He has more attack speed. That's bad if you're Ziggs or Pyke. You don't want to interact.
Yeah. Shiu actually finding some decent angles here on this Jace into the arc. We know.
Effort.
Oh dear. Okay. Yeah. Smash. This is not where he wants to be. Does find himself a satchel, but is just going to run into the bushes and die.
All right, so any early game bot lane destroyers in the chat? You know, maybe in game 1, Lucid and Korea were like, you know what? Ruin the bottom lane. We're not playing that.
Yeah, well.
And then in this one, it was kind of Effort. He's like, nah, you guys can't play it. Sorry.
Well, Korea level 2 is looking to disrupt the jungle. Should be Lucid taking away this Raptor camp. They've forsaken the bottom lane entirely. Korea as well as Showmaker thinking about going for an angle here as the Maw comes down. Decent amount of extra damage and a turret shot onto Showmaker is not really what he wanted to take. So he's going to be backing away. Does have his teleport. No, he doesn't have his teleport, actually.
He used his TP already, which is part of why he was putting that pressure on to try to clear that wave. Cuz is not going to like what he sees here, at least initially.
Well, he isn't going to see it. That's the problem, as he gets lit on fire and will be taken out. Good resonating strike there to claim the kill for Lucid. And now Cuz is dead, and he's going to lose even more of his jungle. Lucid actually starting a snowball rolling just in his matchup alone, as the Bone Skewer going to collect Effort as well. Great satchel to follow it as he gets the flash. Beat Drop comes down though, and Smash could be dead again, as never mind, Lucid's here to save the day, and safeguards out. So DK keep their bottom laner alive, and Effort uses both of his sums.
Also, Smash just calm and collected, instantly satchels correctly there, also has his flash still, doesn't use it. He just knows that Lucid's got his back, and Lucid pushes Aiming away. So you mentioned Effort sums down now. Huge win there for them. Now, it's still a pretty big disaster in the bottom lane, to be frank, but yeah, a little bit of hole patching has been done, and the Lucid lead was one that you could definitely feel.
Ooh, Showmaker taking a bit of damage because not electing to go in for it. As Lucid was on the top side of the map, so was pretty far away from this one.
There are a few matchups you can go into Annie, right? Like, a lot of people like to opt for the Galio to just absorb the pressure because Annie doesn't do that much damage. You know, some people like to completely outrange with a pick like the Hui. We've even seen Victor in this matchup. As, you know, a Bear's going to get dropped on you sometimes, very annoying, but BDD wants to just buy space here and use his range advantage to harass Showmaker and punish him when Showmaker's trying to be greedy like this.
Yeah, that is going to be Spiraling Despair coming down, and Showmaker will take a big boom boom, but he is going to keep himself alive as now Korea looking to make his way in, gets the flash stun onto Perfect. Perfect is going to flash away. Lucid unable to find an angle here as Cuz is moving in. The acceleration gate will get the Pike out to safety.
Really
Pike is so squishy.
Really great early game, though, from Career, all things considered. You know, he was so put behind by that level 1 and has actually made some great plays in this game. He and Smash showcasing they have a ton of mastery of this bottom duo, even though they looked a little bit timid to lock the Pike in the draft. They're looking very, very well versed at this. Still a pretty significant early game lead here for KT, and it doesn't get better very soon here for D+, unfortunately. At least Lucid has potentially an in if he can make some outplays happen around some early fights. Could be what they're looking for, especially with the Seraphine still down on Flash. You know, potentially challenge for a Dragon. Yep. To go their way.
Some angles there. As Mega Inferno Bomb now available here for Smash, can use that to clear out waves if he would like to. As Korea is going to be found by Effort, but not found by any of Effort's buttons, unfortunately, for KT fans. As Drake, first one going to be a Hex Tech. Pretty dangerous Dragon. Does do a fair bit of damage. Now Cuz, oh dear, once again going to be discovered in his jungle. The Bone Skewer comes down, he flashes to get out of the stun as Mega Inferno Bomb comes in. There's a kickback onto BDD. He's stunned up by Showmaker as well. Has to flash himself out of the way. The sidestep is just gorgeous, and he'll keep himself alive. Korea has to dash to get himself out of this one, but doesn't have flash, so he's going to get pulled back and murdered. My God,
Tell me BDD's
so
not a robot. I'm serious. Just like
I can't help. I don't have proof.
He was just like, no, if I sidestep like this, you don't even throw it. Okay, don't even try it. You're not gonna hit me.
Oh my Lord, he is too good.
It was actually insane, and he was so calm. He also was just like, you know what? I will match this rotation into the Annie. I don't care. I'm willing to challenge. This is actually bonkers. Now, first of all, this is a great setup here from Lucid and Career. Cuz's flash is phenomenal, but now he's on the wrong side here. The bomb comes through. He's chunked out. So BDD is left up a creek without a paddle. And what does he do? Everything right. Sidesteps this.
My Lord!
And he's like, nothing can hit me.
And then Career's like, that was so good, BDD. Let me Bone Skewer a minion. And then he died, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was not the good part. It was good for KT fans because it puts aiming further ahead.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, BDD further ahead. He was the one who picked up that kill.
Yeah, aiming is also further ahead.
He is still quite large, yes.
Yeah, and Lucid will be able to collect himself a grub or two. Looks like there is not going to be too much of a response here for Cuz, even though he is on the top side of the map. It's not going to be a contest.
Denying grubs from a Yorick feels pretty good.
Yeah. Career and Lucid are now looking for a dive onto the Yorick as well, as they're wasting no time looking to make their way in. The wave is going to crash. Let's see whether the Ghoulie Wall can actually save this Yorick to the skies. And yeah, Career, you cannot tank those. That is 2 kills. Shiu dies as well.
Yeah.
Can I have failed dives for 20?
Yeah, see, the answer to your question about the Ghoulie Wall, talk about the Ghoulie Wall, it does kind of prevent you from getting out of the turret aggro range
I do think that it wasn't as much the Ghoulie Wall that was just running like Lemmings. Sorry.
They were Meilings. They were melee champions running into the
there we go.
So
that's from the sequel game.
Turret pickup here from Career. Okay. Yeah.
All right, got another fight as BDD is finally going to die. Cuz gets kicked back, but he just takes them both out. The explosion of BDD's ulti from the grave, and Tibbers dies as well. So it looked like we were coming back to a good play from DK, and now it's a 2-for-1.
All right, I'm gonna have to like, you know, there's a vote to surrender in League of Legends. Maybe we should do like a broadcast vote to stop replays in a game like this, where every time we watch like a bit of a silly moment where KT is just exploding people, we miss the next part where they're exploding people.
Well, I wonder what the next part is that we're going to miss.
BDD here gets the speed up. It's not enough, but Kez actually comes in here, gets the wind become lightning value, and the explosion comes through. It just looked cinematic. The way he just got a collateral with a spear.
Yeah.
Impales 2 people, but 1 kill was his, the other was BDD's. Perfect still has flash.
Yeah, great little sidestep here as Perfect gets booped into the wall, but he is able to get himself to safety.
Is Perfect the best top laner in the LCK?
I mean, it's starting to look like
no,
we're
right?
getting him back.
The answer is no, but I mean, is it yes? It's no, right? It's definitely Keen is better.
I tell you what, he's playing some pretty fantastic Yorick right now. Is Perfect.
He's just not gankable, as we've learned. He still has his flash. Still has flash. Does not care. Does not interested in her gank.
He's also he's not ahead, but he is doing just fine in this matchup as well as Cuz thinking about helping him out. Lucid walking on a control ward here.
Good fear.
Yeah,
that was clean.
Gets the speed up as well. BDD knowing how to navigate the a billion buttons that Hui does have.
He is quite a painter of a player.
Yeah.
So it's a fitting champion for him. As Cuz is also still here. Seraphine coming up. You really want to kill the Yorick. I get it. D+, but I don't think it's happening. Arrow also coming up.
Yeah, that is not going to connect, just barely. Man, I kind of thought that there'd be some hitbox shenanigans there as Korea is able to live through it. Now there's no arrow for the fight against Smash here in this bottom lane, but he needs to hit the bouncing bombs if he wants to be able to win in that metric. As Lucid now control vision all over the place here for DK.
Yeah, they're really trying to make these plays topside, but they have been shut down at every turn by a good play from Perfect, fast rotations from KT. KT have had such a good read on this. They know that ganking for the Ziggs is so much harder to pull off and not realistic. So, and obviously they've tried to go for BDD. It has also not really been working out in their favor. So they're like, all right, maybe give Yorick another pass, because basically, with the lead that Lucid had, they're kind of like, we got to chain gank. We have to somehow find an in to this game. Otherwise, KT are just going to run us over in the mid game, and it has just not worked out for D+. I think it's the right call. You're playing the Pyke draft. You need to try to get some value out of his early power, but they have just come up empty. Smash is on a ward. I'm not sure if he's aware of that. I think he's not.
Well, aiming is going to run after him. Great satchel there to disengage. Still, the Ghost has been popped, and aiming is still going to lose way too much of his health bar to fight this one. Lucid protecting his AD carry player, who is playing a mage.
This is really quite funny situation where everyone comes are like, yes, keep him interested.
Who is baiting
and Lucid's like, yes, keep him interested.
We just needed aiming and Smash to like kill each other at the same time, and no one to show up. And that would have added, I think, to the whole situation.
It would have been the only way to make it more comical.
Indeed. All right, we do have the back coming through here for Korea, who is without an ultimate still.
Now, Shiu has not hit the other champions that are not Yorick yet in this game, really. But he is starting to build a pretty significant lead. He has his Ghost Blade online, has been chipping away at these plates, also has a call that's about to cash in. So he is going to be a huge threat later on.
Arrow.
Unless he gets arrowed.
Oh, good flash. Gets Shiu out of the way, but also great arrow to get that flash. So DK down another tool here as Cuz looks for Showmaker. Korea right here will be able to get a follow-up stun as well. The Electrocute does come down. A Showmaker does take a lot of damage there from BDD. Does have his Blackfire Torch done.
They wanted to try to stop KT from coming up to punish the flash so that Shiu could keep his topside prio, but they've taken so much damage. KT are looking to contest this still. Perfect has TP, so he can actually back and come straight back to the turret to defend. D+ need to be careful about overextending here, but again, they don't have many legs in this game, so they're just trying to force any skirmish they can around this Pyke. Has level 6 now.
Oh, little Bone Skewer steal attempt. That was cute. Cuz is still just going to be able to take his blue buff, though, so it doesn't really do too much of anything at all. I liked the idea, though.
Yeah, I don't think Perfect completed his back, so he's still up here, did not teleport back into lane. And they're still trying to put the pressure on this top lane, playing through this Jace, the one winning lane. Nice try.
He goes for it. Doesn't quite work. As Lucid to clear out this control ward, and they'll at least get that. But the gold lead has just disintegrated. It's 400. It's not really anything to write home about. The problem is, I don't know, like, how DK is supposed to really navigate things later on. I can see how KT's comp works any day of the week, right? Like, it is just, it's so...
BDD, like,
it's a consistent style of comp.
because it has, like, this Hui pick is so great. It's like BDD's Mel pick is effort. He should be okay, right?
Yeah, Lucid will get the flash out of effort, but like you say, he is okay.
He opts to use his flash instead of his ult because if he ults there and they flash it, then he probably dies. So I think it was the right call. And now he has his ult for a Dragon contest.
Yeah, potentially. We do have a back coming on through for Korea. We'll be able to get himself back home.
It looks like it's a free plate here for BDD in the mid lane as Dragon's still not getting the attention it deserves.
Yeah, 15.5 minutes, and we haven't had a second Drake yet. Showmaker looking for aiming, and we'll just throw a bear at him. That's a lot of damage onto this Ashe, who's now looking to turn things. There's the kickback. Beautifully done. Doesn't matter if you missed the Q there. Lucid was making sure that Showmaker picks up the kill. But now Cuz is looking to make his way in. There's a teleport as the Encore goes entirely wide. The Grasping Maw, though, doing a whole bunch of work as Lucid delivers the ulti to his teammates. I'm not sure about that one, but Cuz is still going down very low. Mega Inferno Bomb hits onto 2 as Korea can see he's lining up that death from below, but no one is quite in range just yet. And it is just a pick onto aiming, and DK come out on top.
Yeah, Lucid was about to get reported 4x, but he did end up avoiding most of that damage to his team. And KT Rolster looked like, you know, episode 4 Stormtroopers with some of the skill shots on that team fight. They got the flash out of Smash, but man, a lot of things missed. BDD was missing everywhere. Effort missed his ultimate. Man, it was not great.
Imagine if, like, Han Solo could also flash, man. He would have never been hit by anything ever.
Yeah, so we'll watch this again. Showmaker sets this one up. Aiming just doesn't have time to react here to the Tibbers, so doesn't flash here, and then doesn't have vision of Lucid either. Lucid just gets on top of him and kicks him before he could do anything. So he doesn't use his flash because he just could not react to either of those. And then here, we got some whiffing. Whiff from Cuz. Okay, whiff from Effort.
Good dash cannon from Showmaker.
Yeah, hit from BDD. And then Lucid's like, all right, everybody come give me a hug.
Yeah, if I'm going down, you're coming with me.
And then Cuz dodges here. This misses from Effort again, and then BDD misses. But it doesn't matter as another one from Career this time.
Yeah, I've seen this play before. As the stun comes down and Cuz is just dead, Lucid comes and steals it away. Bit of extra money there for DK as the arrow is going to connect. There is the damage from BDD as well as Lucid looking to try and take down the Hui. Mega Inferno Bomb to try and follow up. The rest of KT are looking to get here though, and Chiu is very dead. Yeah, trying to kill BDD just seems to be a mistake in this game.
The numbers on the top of the screen say D+ are winning. But my eyes are telling me they're not winning.
Yeah.
Like, they keep getting these things. Like, Showmaker's going to get this turret here on the other side. It is going to be the second of the game, which is a lot of their gold lead, right? And these turrets, they picked up the top one earlier on. They've been putting that pressure on this entire game, but they haven't really taken a convincing true 5v5 fight, but they're getting these scrappy wins everywhere, and this Jace is starting to be too big of a problem. And the comp, like I said, is kind of simple in how it works. I think KT's comp is also relatively simple and very robust. Like you were saying, it kind of does everything. It's got the engage, it's got the range, it's got the front line, got the split push. Like it doesn't really have any weaknesses, but who knows what's going to happen at the end of this game. As Career, I don't think you want to go in there.
Oh, good dancing shoes though. As teleport in, we are committing for a fight over a dead Rift Herald as now Career down relatively low. Hextech Minefield comes in to try and save him there as Showmaker gets his way forward. The Eye is trying to be protected because just walks over and takes it. Gets the knock up on Lucid as well. The kickback is decent as the Encore doesn't do too much and down goes Cuz to start this one off. Shiu dives forward as BDD is kept alive with the help of the Mikhails out of effort, and now Lucid seeing what he can do. Coolie Wall is going to trap him for a few moments but does have Showmaker there with that Incinerator's Career. He's going to get the shutdown, looks for the resets and will not find them. Taken down by aiming is now, the fight seems to be on yet again as Lucid, oh my goodness, lying in wait. I don't know whether he really wants to try and kill Perfect here because I don't know whether he wins that fight. And in fact, he does not, ladies and gentlemen. I think many of us probably could have told him that, but he went for it anyway. Yeah, kudos for trying.
I think he could just gone home. He could have slept. Yeah, this was the fight.
Sleep when you're dead, Wolf.
Yeah, this is the fight that started all off way earlier on, and then Shiu ends up overextending here to get the turret, but it's a successful play, right? They end up getting the turret, but the other side of the fight is a little bit messy, right? Lucid getting on top of BDD here. And then the next fight is just, frankly, absolute cinema. If this is what our top question mark of the LCK is, I'm here for it, because we don't even know. I mean, KT's #1. D+ is making a case for them being #1. They beat Genji. Like, this fight just never ends, right? You have Shio on the flank here, hits the shock blast. They want to delete effort, not quite able to get it initially. As I thought I banned replays from this game.
Yeah.
It looks like it's just going to be a Herald charge. This Seraphine ultimate buys enough space here. The ultimate from BDD is so much damage. He gets the heal from effort, so he survives. And then Lucid goes back in. Lucid goes back in alive.
And he goes in again. There's ghouls doing ridiculous things.
I
Lucid
thought he
needs to
learned.
be very careful. There is an army chasing him down. And the Q is going to finish him off. Now Perfect looking for Showmaker. The Molten Shield doing a bunch of work. He needs another Q, but the army is killing him.
The summon battle!
Oh my goodness. Perfect is just becoming a little bit too big. Mega Inferno Bomb will... oh, what? Comet kills him. Okay.
Anyway, bottom turn's gonna
Perfect
go
is
down.
a Smash fan. He is a big Smash fan. He's like, nah, man, you deserve this one.
Do you remember that silly, I don't know if I want to call it a reality TV show, but the BattleBots show where you build the robots?
Yeah!
I feel like that was what was happening between those two summons there. Like, they just kind of forgot their programming. How silly that show could be at times.
Indeed.
I think Lucid also forgot his programming about your...
But I mean, how do you forget it? The last thing you did on the Rift was die to this guy.
He's like, Showmaker has the damage. No.
Yeah.
And then Showmaker's like, oh my god. Oh, I lose this as well. I need another stun. And Perfect's like, oh my god, he's getting his stun. And then Perfect gets hit by the bomb because this game just needed more comedy.
Yeah. All right, well, Showmaker is now looking for aiming. We'll be able to find him there. Does get McHale's. Effort going to keep him alive as now Perfect shows up. And Career is like, no, I'm getting the heck out of Dodge. And you can't really blame him for that one. Cloud Soul once again, ladies and gentlemen.
This
is very
could be
cool.
the best two teams in the LCK right now.
I mean, honestly, definitely the most entertaining at this point in time.
Most fun for sure, guaranteed. Lock it in.
Well, Cuz taking a fair bit.
I'm no longer bored by KT.
Nope, not at all. As the arrow going to connect onto Shiu. He has a blast cone. It's right there, but he's just dead. Cuz also taking a lot of damage, but KT locking down the enemy top laner, and now they're looking for even more as BDD doesn't quite find a couple of buttons, and that will allow DK to escape.
Gold doesn't matter, I guess.
No, I don't think that's what this game is about.
This game is a hands game. This game is a mechanics fest. It's just...
I mean, Korea has a QSS.
Yeah, he has a QSS. Look at the goal across all of these players. Like, Aiming still has the goal lead, but everywhere else is red, even though Perfect has 5 kills to 1. It's just been put down in lane so hard. Shio is hard farmed, got all the extra CS, got those turret plates and first
plate money is such a big deal here as DK using the Ziggs, right?
It's just so silly to try to quantify the game state with the numbers you can see on screen, because this whole game, and the kill score kind of tells the story that I think our minds are linked with, in that the team fighting is not working for D+, but they are getting a lot on the map. How much more can they get is the question, because when it comes to straight up 5v5s, especially with the state BDD is getting in very quickly here with 2 items, it is a tough sell for D+, but maybe with some traps.
Well, let's see whether they can find the angle onto Cuz. Does have his sweeper at the ready now.
KT,
this control ward, and DK will back away.
I mean, there's only so much KT could do in terms of just kind of huddling in the corner macro-wise. Like, Shiu has just been hitting turrets all game long, and there has been very little response. He is level 15 right now. You know, he's behind Perfect in XP. A lot of that's from the kills, but still feels like there's no answer to this Jace consistently yet for KT.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that the game is this even. I don't know why KT has like a 100 if that gold lead when they have Soul Point, double the kills, exactly the same turrets.
They have not really been doing the killing of the minions or structures.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. It's just CS margins being extended here. And Aiming is behind in farm, but Smash is behind in gold by a considerable number.
To look at the KP as well and to say that Cuz is the lowest KP for KT.
Yeah. Well, he's going to throw down the ulti as Korea. I don't know whether he wanted that bone skewer, and he's just dead. Yeah.
That's Pyke. When we get to the mid to late game, he just isn't going to be able to live. QSS not enough here.
Nope.
And Cuz, I mean, he was willing to use his ultimate to absorb that pressure and look for the turn. Now he doesn't have it.
Well, Lucid is now looking for a possible kick angle here as the bear goes down. There goes Cuz. And now Effort could be in trouble as well. The bouncing bomb's a Mega Inferno bomb, and Effort is just dead. The Lee Sin catches up to him, and Lucid shuts him down. And now there's a Baron on the board. There's a Yorick in the bottom lane, though.
Hey,
and
Perfect is like, Supreme said it's my turn to hit the turret. Stop it, Shu. It's my time to side lane. As we are going to see a bit of a late contest here. TP coming through from Perfect after he takes out the turret.
I mean,
this
Cuz
is a tough Yorick.
never going to come over here, but can they actually win the fight? That's going to be the question as Korea gets a Bone Skewer just to annoy Perfect here momentarily. They turn onto BDD, and Korea finds him and stops him from getting out. That is Showmaker collecting that kill, and they kept the Baron leash. The Lee Sin's dead, though. There are no smites left. Oh,
Yorick
God.
Penta? Yorick Penta angle, Atlas?
Yeah, I think it's like we need circus music. We need the yakety sax as this game has gone weird. There is the kill onto the pike, but aiming goes down as well. Showmaker has a molten shield, but not a life. And Perfect is a one-man army, and he's set up for the Baron for KT.
All right. You know what?
No,
I'm not bored of KT.
not anymore.
But I'm not excited either.
God.
All right, so for those who were around last year, we did have this
I was
matchup-
here last year.
Yeah, for those who weren't around last year, and for those who do remember, I'll remind you, we did have this matchup twice before the tiebreaker match to decide Rise and Legend. Both KT D+ matchups were as silly, if not more silly than this, so this should come as a surprise to no one. But again, these two teams may be our best teams in the LCK, that doesn't show up in the misunderstandings. But
Yeah.
the fact that Perfect is level 16 TP's in as D+ Flounder here, not able to burst the Baron down, but not able to win the team fight.
hit Lucid with his ultimate?
And he does so much damage that Lucid can no longer actually do anything in this fight.
And
decides to cancel his aggression, but dies anyways. And then they go onto aiming here, which is fair because he's the damage dealer in your head, right? It's actually the Yorick. Yeah. As in Showmaker is also getting owned by the Baron. The Baron was actually the
absolute MVP.
POM candidate in this one.
All right. Well,
There's
now,
no Baron box on my
as
palm
we
selector.
come back from the from that, we have Chiyu taking an inner turret. The inner turret dies on the bottom side as well, but it looks like KT might just be able to wipe this one out.
KT are trying to be the first team to win an LCK game with a gold deficit.
Well, I mean, it's happening right now. Chiyu is going to take an inhibitor turret, as Perfect's back is going to get stopped. The rest of KT going to be backing away. There is 10 seconds until Cloud Soul, and so Chiyu knows what's on the line if he's unable to join a team fight, and that is dealing with a Cloud Souled up KT. As Morning Mist not going to connect, very important for Chiyu staying alive.
He does not have teleport, Perfect.
Oh, that control ward in the back of this pit is actually kind of crazy. Gets a Scryer's Bloom there as well, as KT going to get spotted on this Drake. And Perfect has no TP, like you say, he's in that top lane.
I think KT might just have to be willing to give this one up, straight up. Okay,
Well,
they see Shu in the top lane, but he can still TP in.
yeah, Perfect is looking to try and find the Jace. But it's pretty difficult for Yorick to stop a teleport. So not a whole lot he can do there.
If D+ win this fight, I mean, they might just win the game. KT need to be way more careful than this.
Teleport's going to come in as Lucid. He was holding position as Cuz gets on in there. That is a lot of damage onto Chiyu. He goes to the skies though and flashes away. Aiming, looks for the angle. The Bone Skewer goes wide. There's the final arrow. And he's going to be able to pick up the Jace. But the KT health bars are getting low.
Perfect's full health though, and he's here.
Korea can see these resets. But Cuz is going to move himself out of the way, and Perfect, like you say, shows up, and that is going to be show's over for DK.
And the tragedy for D+ is, oh, Career's back's going to get stopped. The tragedy for D+ is that the one advantage, they had the huge side lane control and the teleport for Chiyu. He just ends up teleporting into an encore, and he just dies instantly. He can do nothing. I mean, it does take a few autos from aiming and does pull the Ashe away, but he practically dies instantly. Doesn't really get to do anything in the fight.
Why does he still? Why did DK still have a gold lead? This is so silly.
KT are trying to break records. I'm pretty sure there probably has been a deficit win in the LCK before, but it's been a while.
Well,
Lucid.
Wall doesn't do too much. Lucid was setting up for the sick pike damage.
It is also quite fitting that aiming is the one with the gold lead on KT. All right, look at this teleport. Effort's like, all right, encore. And then the Jace has to
every way button as well.
He gets away, but not really. And they cannot get onto aiming. Career misses the skewer. Lucid cannot follow here after the flash comes through. He doesn't have flash to get on top of aiming, and that's the end of the fight as the other side wins swimmingly for KT. And that's before the Yorick really got involved.
Yeah, and also, that whole time, they were trying to focus down BDD, and Effort was there with the McHales, with the extra protection, press and W, things like this, and BDD just holds them all in place.
Yeah.
After getting so much damage onto the Jace as well as she was teleporting in. Now we've got an Infinity Edge done here for aiming. On top of his Bloodthirster, that's going to mean a lot of extra damage here for KT's AD carry.
I feel like either KT win a really decisive team fight and end the game. Otherwise, eventually they make a macro mistake and I mean, D+ are just playing the map better. Eventually that inhibitor goes down on the top side. They have to answer if their backs get stopped. I mean, the Ziggs can be great at that. KT really need to be a little bit more decisive about where they're making their calls because they're kind of winning these fights but not setting them up the right way. Is Perfect is going to flash.
Yep, Korea looking for a Bone Skewer. Won't be able to find it. I don't think they were going to kill Perfect anyway. As Smash might be able to deal with a minion wave if it is going to come on over, as obviously Baron is kind of required into a Ziggs. And it's going to be an inner turret falling down, but that will be a trade of inner for inner.
D+ are just playing the map really well. I mean, the TP from Showmaker doesn't get a kill, but they still have the 2v1 down here. Perfect has TP of his own. Let's see who wins the race.
They also have Mega Inferno Bomb as well to clear out minion waves if they need to. Teleport does come through from BDD to stop this push in the bottom lane as the arrow is also sailing by. Oh, looks beautiful, doesn't it? And now polluting the air of Runeterra.
And now D+ are not going to be able to get the punish onto the Ashe Seraphine on the top side, but they got the TP out of BDD, so that's a win. They also got a ton of damage down. And when you look at what KT got in return, it's very little. That's why the gold lead is still D+'s.
All right, well, there is Showmaker still here. Looks for some dash cannon damage as the Ghoulie Wall not going to be enough to hold the Annie in place.
Perfect is like, man, these guys think they can kill Yorick. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I dare to think that they can kill Yorick as well. He's level 19.
Yeah, he has Kainic Rooker, and so he absorbs a lot of magic damage, as well as he's just incredibly tanky. He's just so, he has just so many stats from his levels, like you were mentioning. And the guy he's putting up big damage numbers when they interact with him. Yeah, D+ has been ahead in gold, but ahead in kills they have not, but on the map plays.
Oh, dash cannon value.
That's why you
Smash,
dash cannon.
but I just don't know whether he's going to be able to survive. In fact, he will not. He flashes into the Maw that BDD prepared earlier. Oh my. He's allergic to not being the best player on the map.
Look at Lucid, he's just lurking. He wants to stop some potential backs here while Shiu is pushing this, but Perfect is already home.
Okay, so they'll get another one. KT are now starting off this Baron. Lucid is there. He knows. DK are toying with them.
They want
this
a backdoor.
is such a weird game.
They want a backdoor, but I don't think they have enough tools. They can push them off the Baron.
If DK are just splitting them apart, though, so they can't stay on the Baron. They're going to go back to it now as they look for Perfect, and they will dive on top of him, committing to the fight this time, and down will go the Yorick.
And Lucid's here to stop the backs. Lucid's here to stop the backs.
So is Korea. He's searching for them, seeing whether he can lock them down.
It's going to be the end of it. They get the inhibitor, but that is it. What an insane game. Now they stop the Baron.
So silly, Wolf.
I thought KT was the best macro team in the LCK, but D+ is showcasing something a little bit different right now. I mean, they are playing the map so beautifully with these double split pushes. BDD's insane.
But it doesn't matter. Like you say, like it's the map play.
Yeah, the map plays here are just much better. They keep putting Showmaker and Shiu in the 2v1, and this time they can actually kill Perfect. Now they're back on the Baron because they got map control. They have that inhibitor on the other side of the map.
Oh, Cuz is going to show up. I don't think throwing on the Baron is a good idea because immediately the Elder is going to be coming up. So minute and a bit, and the big old scary dragon is going to be there.
Someone has to deal with this wave. Now, Showmaker's TP is coming up. Smash took TP, obviously Ziggs, and they have this Jace who has TP as well. They could just triple TP and end the game if KT want to be outside on the map. So they have to deal with this bottom wave. And so I kind of I don't care about team fights anymore. I feel like D+ have kind of got this game in the bag with how they're playing it. If they don't make a mistake on fights, and they have so much control over this Baron, and they have the TP angle bottom lane, there's really so many. It's a choose-your-own ending adventure for D+ right now.
Hawkshot, very good value here as the Bone Skewer going to connect onto Cuz. They're looking to take down The jungler, not quite able to, but they get the ulti, which is such a huge deal. Xiu looking for some angles. Shock Blast, my goodness, not even accelerated. Almost obliterates effort there.
They stopped the Baron, and that wave in the bottom lane is getting pushed out by Perfect now, who does have TP as well. KT need to be decisive here. They're going to push through mid and get that prio back.
It's so hard to get minion wave control, though, as Xiu catches the back minions.
And
BDD
Showmaker
taking some damage there as Korea. You cannot die here. Arrow not going to connect. As he flashes out of the way, the wind becomes lightning as Cuz looking to try and get on in there. Lucid going to be able to take down a red buff as Xiu. The spiraling despair might be exactly that. He does have a GA as he gets himself out, and that is going to be Cuz finished off. Aiming does so much damage, but he needs to find the targets to hit. As in goes Perfect to take him down to the GA as now Evan gets dove on by Xiu. Showmaker is now in the thick of things as BDD gets out of the way of the death from below. The bouncing bombs are so scary, but KT sidestepped them. How is no one on DK dead?
There's no wave in the bottom lane. There's no wave on the bottom lane, so I don't think TP could come through to try to end the game. Korea and Lucid are looking for the left side flank here.
Oh, wait, Korea is just dead. He's just dead.
He's done. And BDD is back to deal with the top side wave, so that inhibitor is going to stay alive. The Elder has spawned. This is what we live for. This is a crazy
Lucid.
game. Lucid is in serious trouble, and Perfect's coming to wrap around.
Yep, that is going to be BDD locking up the kill.
I think that might just be the game.
Yep, Arrow is going to be flown out here. And Xiu is going to avoid it.
There's a little bit of leg room. Showmaker's coming up in 20. It's going to take them some time to get the Elder, but with the Elder, certainly
it's only
at 35
Xiu and
minutes.
Smash. And so, like, the Elder Dragon 100% goes over to KT here.
And I mean, with this, certainly they could end the game, right? They have Hui, they have a really strong pushing, Seraphine, Ashe. And they got the Yorick as well, and if he gets to press a few Qs in the team fight, we know what's going to happen. As Xiu is trying to hold the wave here and set things up, the bomb is really low value into aiming here, unfortunately, as Smash is super far away. Lucid is going to get pushed down to GA here. His career is level on the wrong side.
20 Yorick just wanders in and shovels everyone.
Exactly. Showmaker just trying to fight his way out here. BDD plays this beautifully. I mean, my God. But this is like one of the best games of League of Legends I've ever had the pleasure to see, let alone cast. Is Xiu.
Oh, dear. That's a bunch of Elder Dragon people. And Xiu is really, really dead.
Showmaker is trying to push out this super minion wave, so someone's going to have to answer.
How
Smash
is
also
here?
It just takes so many people from KT to try to get these kills that, like, the whole map seems open all the time. BDD does have TPs and clear that mid wave as quickly as
Wait a second.
Baron
they had the information about this Baron, so Mega Inferno Bomb can come down. Great Hawk Shot is going to spot out Lucid. Connects the Q. The Baron's down very, very low as the Encore is going to miss. He gets into the pit, and Lucid, he gets the steal!
But he dies instantly, and they're backing, but they're going to lose more than him. They lose the chase.
Yeah, now Perfect. I mean, it takes like 3 shovels,
Elder's
and
still
these turrets just get destroyed. But now the minions are killable, and Smash kills minions very, very well.
Okay, so now they are able to defend this top wave. Mid wave is pushed super deep. This game is far from over unless they can get some kills here with Elder. They're just trying to open up the base and win a fight in D+'s base to end the game. Smash level 18, clearing these waves so desperately.
Yeah, Perfect throws down the Ghoulie Wall. Isn't quite able to get on top of Smash here, but he creates the space.
Don't forget, there's TPs available here for D+ to try to end in the bottom lane if they get an opportunity.
Well, let's just see. As if KT win here, we get another one of these. That's the best part. That's what I'm thinking about this entire time. As Siege Minion goes down, the minion wave has been taken. The Mega Inferno Bomb back up again. And that means that there's just not enough minions to actually end the game.
And there's also not enough for D+ to try to outpace and TP bottom lane. The inhibitor has respawned. We go again, Atlas.
Oh my goodness. All right, it's going to take another Elder for them to win the game. Let's have a look at this one. As KT, they throw everything at killing Xiu so they can get this Baron.
It's 5 people to kill Xiu. And so the wave's stacking in the bottom lane. And also, look, Smash is pushing mid. They're just getting out macroed again. And the Lucid comes in for the steal here. Blast Cone's down. But he has the vision here.
Sidestep is so clean. And somehow he's hit by that one.
얘들아 그 집만 막아.
Okay, just defend home. Just defend the base, which is home in Korean. And they were able to successfully do that, only losing the one inhibitor, but now it's an inhibitor advantage here for KT.
Oh no, Lucid is now in such an awkward position as Cuz going to be used as a taxi in order to try and get Lucid out of there. Still, Arrow is going to connect. That will be a deadly sin.
They're trying to base race this in the top lane, but Showmaker's going to have to back.
I mean, the problem is for KT is that without Baron, they cannot kill turrets. As backdoor bonus comes up, they are able to beat that timer, as they will be able to take
Almost
down
have
this
to defend
inhibitor in the
this.
bottom lane as well. But the trade is going to come on through. The Jace does take one down as well.
And they really need to send someone home. Okay, BDD is back.
Yeah, BDD is going to show up. That's going to mean that Shiu is very, very dead. Does take the inhibitor with him, but the Nexus turrets are now being sieged without very many minions. Thanks, Smash.
Well, we'll see if they can push this mid-wave. TP is going to come in from Perfect to match Showmaker here as they clear this wave as quickly as possible.
They can get a couple of kills. This could actually be DK finding the win. It's aiming, gets focused. There's a stun from Korea. Can he actually get on top of them? No, the answer is absolutely not, as aiming gets so much of his health bar back. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be going to 3 games as the arrow is going to come on through as somehow Smash stays alive. Lucid is able to take down Perfect. And you're right, finally the minion wave comes back, but Lucid goes in, tries to distract them, and I don't think Smash has the damage. BDD flashes on forward, and aiming finishes off his opposition in the bottom lane. The Nexus will go down, and KT will tie up the series.
I think there's a real argument for either of these teams to ask for a postpone of Game 3 after that crazy game.
Yeah, it's like, can we just put this before the series tomorrow?
Minutes of a grueling macro game where D+ ran circles around KT Rolster. They were constantly outpacing them on the map, but they could not team fight because the Pike just fell off a cliff and was just a squishy bag of money later on in the game. And that's not to say that Career didn't try his damnedest to look for picks. He got a lot of flashes in late game skirmishes. But D+ ultimately were not able to find the angles to end the game. There were a few angles where they could have looked for a double TP to try to end, but if that fails, they lose the game. They played around with KT a lot, but ultimately this Yorick eventually was able to get into the base. Aiming was doing so much damage in the late game. We thought this game was practically a shoo-in after Aiming got that kill at level 1. The lane was a disaster. But man, Career and Smash gave this game so much longevity, not to mention the great macro from Shiu specifically. His decision-making, his judgment on this Jace was insane. They played through top side when they had that deficit in the bottom side. Man, if this is what the best thing the LCK has to offer, I'm all here for it, but I don't even know if that's true.
No, I think we definitely don't know that that's true, but I just want more of it. We have grins on the faces of DK, though. They are not out of this one yet, as we do go to a short break. When we get back, the Space has the pleasure of breaking down that game, and then we'll get another one. We'll see you soon.
풀 있어?
나 미카엘 있어.
나 칩스 밀어줄게. 칩스 밀어줄게.
타워 쳐줘.
나 애니 밀어줄게. 애니 밀어줄게.
타워 쳐줘.
가서 해봐. 애니 밀어줄게. 애니 밀어줄게.
야, 타워 치자.
애니 노플. 나 타워텍 나야. 야 파이크 노플. 파이크. 아 끝났다 이러면. 아 형 이거 와줄래? 에어본. 이거 깨져 얘들아. 야 타워 줄게. 타워.
니는 3초. 야 하람아 라인 없다. 너 팽이야. 바텀 라인으로 끝내자.
아 살짝 지금. 아 끝날 것 같아. 끝날 것 같아.
칙스 노플.
리신 궁 있을 만한데.
아니 리신 동호.
오케이 리신 노궁.
칙스 노플이야. 3타 중. 죽여도 돼.
베이스트 20초.
리신.
아 개 힘드네.
some of the first ones to really value counter pick as you got deeper into Fearless.
So surprised by this, to be honest, but we'll see what they want to go with. I think blue side is very valuable if you can have the stronger winning bottom lane. I think a pick that I am super scared about for either side is the Vi. I think the Vi 100% has to be removed here in this first phase, but if you're KT Rolster, you still got to ban the Rumble. You know, you cannot let that one through. Pantheon.
Rumble, yeah, Pantheon's another big deal.
And then you probably, I think, let the Varus go and you ban Vi. Unless, you know, you think that D+ are looking for something else, you have a good read and you're going to get it yourself, because BD is an insane Ahri player, as we've showcased. We were even watching again during the break in those highlights again. Ban the Bard, actually.
Well, the Bard ban on the KT side, I kind of feel like it's D+ that really needs to ban Vi. Weirdly enough, because it's Lucid, right? Korea Vi player. But it's the Ahri Vi, like you mentioned, is
and they have red,
so scary in the hands of KT. They
don't have red, but they have the 1-2 punch of grabbing both of those if they want, if you get anything else. So then maybe they're angling for, you first pick Pantheon, we go for the Ahri Vi. Maybe that's the setup KT is looking for. And then if you don't, then we get Pantheon. Oh, wow. So they'll ban Pantheon themselves, D+.
Oh, they'll give them that option. That's kind of interesting that they do take that one away when they could have first picked it. Instead, not going to be the case.
Vi or Varus? Vi. I think this is the correct call. I think you absolutely just do not want either of these teams to have it. It makes the comp so much simpler to play this deep and Fearless.
It's exactly the same bans then from game number 2. And so we'll see what the evolution is as far as the first pick is concerned. Last time it was Annie. This time, let's see where they're going to go. As the fact that we haven't had any of these Lulu drafts yet, the Yunara type situations, it's really kind of nerve-wracking for what you might end up meeting, as the Varus is going to be the choice. Difficult to play a Yunara lane into it. Obviously, you do have a lot of poke in lane, but doesn't fill me with like checkmate first pick type stuff.
What if you go Lulu Ambessa, and you keep the Ambessa off flex? Lulu works well with it. You don't have to show your 80 carry right now necessarily, because you already know it's the Varus. They'll grab the Yunara instead, though, and I think the Lulu... It's not, Lulu Varus is not an oppressive lane, but you got to get this here if you're going to get it, which is why I thought you get something else with the Lulu instead, but they want to wait and get more information before they lock in Cuz's pick. And the Ambessa goes to the other side as a result. I think this might have been a bit of a whiff here from KT Rolster.
Could have been.
Hard to say yet. I mean, Ambessa's not doing well in the LCK, but I think this deep and Fearless with these setups and draft, I think it can be very strong, especially because they have 2 incredible Ambessa players.
Yeah, this is the thing. Shiyu is so good at this champion. I don't think Ambessa from the jungle has looked all that good this season, but from the top lane, has certainly made things happen. So that Ambessa going to be locked away. Perfect has also really liked to pick up the Ambessa at the same time. That was when he first started to make a resurgence last year, was off the back of some Ambessa plays. Him and Doran really making their way towards Worlds, looking great on that champion.
Support is a big question mark. Do they just slam the Crank?
Ooh, the Crank? That'd be fun. Showmaker is instead considering a Twisted Fate.
And honestly, love this. It's such a good pick here.
Yeah, and also running them around the map was working pretty well in game number 2. So
we've got so much CC setup here.
And so much wave clear as well.
If the gold card lands onto somebody, then the Varus follows up with chains. Then you have the Ambessa ult, and it's just so simple to lock down the Yunara. And because the Ambessa can go through all of the front line, the Yunara is never necessarily going to be safe, as
she might be with a Galio.
That would help quite a bit.
See whether that is what BDD is going to lock away.
It's pretty decent into the Twisted Fate.
Oh, wow.
Trundle.
Trundle is not the switch that I was expecting here for Cuz, but will be locked in. It denies Shiyu locking in a tank instead, but they're not representing anything all that Trundleable right now. And with the fact that the Ambessa can go into the top lane means that you can pick something that's happy to play into the Troll as well.
Yeah, this pick doesn't really hit for me right now. We'll see what else they have planned, though, as Trundle can be empowered quite well by the Lulu, but it's not the best. It's not the most mobile to set up wild growth engages or anything like that. Again, the Ambessa was the pick I thought they should have gotten instead early on, but banning the Nami away now, trying to make sure that this bottom lane has prio.
Yep.
And, I mean, it's really one of the only viable range supports left, I mean, unless we're going down into, like, the bucket of the Jannas down there.
Well, we'll see.
Smash has a lot of experience playing alongside that, but...
That is true. That is true. Reckless did really like himself some Janna play. The one last ban. Yeah, Nico could be the option, as that one hasn't been seen just yet.
Nico's the one that stands out to me here, but the Blitzcrank I talked about earlier was also looming as a potential threat because this comp has so much single target. Anything hits, you are just, it's a free kill.
Well, the Mel going to be taken away from BDD, so not going to have his chance on her this time.
BDD loves his Mel, and he also loves like scaling mid lane picks, but I don't know if it's going to work out this time. I think he's just going to be a facilitator with the Galio. Silas, though.
Interesting.
Has always been a classic response to the Twisted Fate.
Yeah, Silas would actually be really cool because you can then match if you pick up the Destiny from him. Certainly is pretty strong, but the Ahri is the pickup instead. And oftentimes I've said, oh, Ahri, lacking damage, blah, blah, blah. BDD is just different when it comes to playing this champion. He is so incredibly good. So that is going to be his call. Can be a difficult lane for the Twisted Fate.
Are we flipping Lucid onto a different pick here, and it's going to be the top lane Ambessa, or what's going to happen? This is when D+ is going to reveal all.
Aphelios. Wow, Aphelios Thresh? Is that going to be the lock-in?
Okay, and it's blind top lane Varus.
Yeah.
This puts Perfect into a pretty challenging position because Varus wins a lot of lanes. Nefiri is fantastic by the way.
It's top lane Trundle?
Well, the Nefiri I was thinking about in this draft earlier on, if they were going to run the Ahri because the Vi was banned.
Wait, it's top lane Nefiri?
I guess so. It is fantastic into Twisted Fate. It scales decently well if you can get out of the laning phase. And it is incredibly safe, works really well for grub fights. And because of the dogs, like the I guess we just call them dogs, I don't know what their official term is, little Darkling doggies, eventually you kind of win trades against Varus long term. And Varus is very immobile, so the Trundle ganks can actually be quite strong there on the top side if they play through top side and try to win the lane through the Lulu on the bottom side and avoid hooks. It's a lot of ifs. This series, man, I knew that it was going to be interesting, but I just didn't know it was going to be epic. Like, I feel like this series has reached levels of epic. It has been absolutely cinematic. It has vastly overdone my expectations. I thought the best thing we could hope for was silly, and I think we got a little bit of that, and especially in both early games. But the series has kind of evolved into insane mind games. And, I mean, Trundle into Varus sounds like a horrible time, but Nefiri, I could kind of see it, especially because it's so good into Twisted Fate.
And I'm, like, trying to work out how you're going to be playing Nefiri in the top lane. Because I felt like, you know, it was jungle and then fringe mid lane. I've never seen it top. Looking forward to seeing how it's going to be piloted here by Perfect. All right, G+ Kia fans, full voice right now as Perfect finds the first dagger and the second dagger. That's an electrocute.
Electrocute, ignite. He is going to be looking for aggressive trades constantly. Shu has the exhaust. He looks pretty familiar with this tech.
Yep.
And I think it makes a lot of sense. He'll obviously have the teleport later. They both will. It's Perfect looking for another Q.
I mean, Shu he has to dodge all of the daggers and then you win. That's how it kind of goes, and then hit your piercing arrows, and then it'll be all right.
And if you can snipe the dogs like that, it is a huge win.
Yeah, Perfect needs to hit like more than 0. Did hit 2 at the beginning. We saw how dangerous that was. As Korea going to find the death sentence.
Still level 1 Aphelios, so Effort is happy to keep playing the game.
Yep.
Whew, this series is tense, man. I
don't really understand, like, both of these compositions are weird. And so who's got the one that's going to win? Like last game, it was fine because like I knew what KT's comp does. We've seen it so many times.
Lucid is setting up some vertical jungling here as well early on in this game, which I think was probably the game plan all along with the Varus pick that they picked up, knowing the Trundle situation. Feeling pretty good about his start here.
Yeah. And
he has vision on both the top side as well as this approach for Cuz, so we'll see the Trundle coming down right now.
Well, this is going to be all about... I actually had a feeling that KT would try and play towards top side, and you can see Cuz is moving up there, knows that now doesn't have very much of his top side left, and so can go towards the bottom side jungle to try and make something happen, but a level 3 gank for the Trundle could be real difficult times for Shiu. And in he goes, doesn't quite find the kennel. Oh, it's so cute that he has the kennel skin and there's a dog in the top lane.
That's really
cute. That's great synergy. It's top debut. Yeah.
This should come as a surprise to no one.
Another death sentence going to connect here as Effort's lit on fire. Good flayback as well as the flash does get him out of there, but the flash forward, the moonshot not enough. And Smash just puts that flash on cooldown.
Yeah, and aiming is very healthy here and has the cleanse. They're not going to actually commit to a fight.
All right, there's the Lantern. The flash play comes in. The Lulu did make it back home. That aiming is going to be forced back as well.
Yeah, he's going to be joining pretty soon, I think.
Although Korea has been just not afraid to press as many buttons as possible.
He is really pressing the buttons. The evolution of Perfect has just been so insane, Atlas. I mean, we were looking at this guy as one of the worst top players in LCK early on. He was a player who was known for playing 2 champions. Yep, Rumble and Udyr. One of which is constantly banned, and the other one was meta for a very brief period of time, and Perfect wasn't even amazing at it, but was able to be, you know, he got through some of those games that were pretty tough. There was that one game where he was, what, 0-5, and then still made an impact later on. But now he's a world finalist, and is pulling out picks like Neferi, is smashing people on Yorg, is solo killing Doran, and something has changed in this player. It is absolutely, you know, for me, really, I don't know, mind-opening to see that sometimes players just don't reach their full potential until much later. And it's rare to see that in a competitive league like this.
Yeah, true. And also, like, it does feel like Perfect is finally settled. Like, one thing that you often saw on the player cam, especially when it came to Perfect, was a lot of nerves, right? A lot of shaking, like not being able to quite replicate the amount of impact that he had, obviously, off stage, on stage. And I mean, it takes a special kind of person to be able to do that, but it takes an even more special kind of person to be able to mitigate it and, like, develop enough in order to overcome it. And that is a very, very cool thing, is now the all-in from said Perfect is coming on forward. Flash out from Shiu. He will be able to escape, but Perfect holds onto the flash and gets rid of the Varus.
Yeah, and we'll hold this wave as well. Perfect does not follow flash there. Don't think he would have been able to kill. So he has flash advantage for the future. Also, exhaust is down, which is arguably the most important part of all of this, because it means that he can continue to do this, and he's about to have his ultimate. So he can avoid the chains of corruption with his untargetable, and then ult Shiu and all in him very soon. Shiu also doesn't have teleport. And head back to the lane here. The freeze is going to be dropped.
All right, well,
denies as much as he can, has evened up the CS now until this wave crashes.
It is a big wave, and steel caps are going to be very, very valuable into this Neferi. And so Shiu going to put them to work. As does have that wave to deal with now. Showmaker just looking for a blue card. We'll be throwing that one towards the wave. Right now, BDD with a bit of an advantage as far as CS, but obviously it's Twisted Fate, so he's got more money. Nice job. Connects here from BDD as well.
Not being the robot allegations.
Nope. Wow, I mean, Showmaker also hit the gold card.
True.
Nailed it. I've never seen one of them miss.
Same. Well, actually, I take it back. Been a few Neferi Ws and...
oh, no, but like it hit. He had to go untargetable.
Sure.
You know, it still goes there. Just didn't do anything.
All right, there's an angle here for Career and Smash for the all-in, but Cuz is here.
Yeah, this is a bit of a scary one if it does actually happen. As Smash makes his way out, he's got the Gravitum up and available. Gets the snare, there's the hook as they get a bit of a look in at Cuz.
Yeah, the damage output between this Lulu and Yunara is too high. Even though Lucid has level 6, he has actually a full level lead on Cuz right now, who is just starved in the jungle. Committing to this with the Trundle nearby is pretty risky with those low health bars. He sticks around a little bit, but is not going to commit. Oh, I take it back.
Yeah, Korea just really wants to press buttons. As Lucid's making his way in, public execution onto the Lulu, who doesn't have the flash. A few seconds, and he would have been okay, but it's Smash that picks up first blood. A great start here for D+ Kia.
D+, firing on all cylinders here in the bottom lane. And, you know, Career, when he went for that hook, I think they realized, like, something is not right. I think that Ambessa is definitely here. They already knew it moments before because they were sending Cuz over and they wanted to cover, but then Cuz just went back to clear his jungle because he needs to. He's so far behind. And sadly, with no flash on that Lulu for just a few more seconds, Career's got the Summoner's Track. He's got his flash coming up just a few seconds later right now as we speak, and he gets the hook to lead to the kill. So now Smash is also 400 gold up in this game. And Perfect, like, he has his ult, he has his Ignite coming back here, but And you have to be so careful with how you judge this. You have to be able to dodge the chains of corruption. Easier said than done, as Flandre was the last person to play this in LPL.
All right. So it's a bit of a
matchup.
thing over there, playing up against Weibo. Pretty cute. Flandre has always been a bit of an eclectic player.
You know, it's
in the LPL.
It's a weird matchup in Varus. When Varus gets picked in the top lane, you got to think of something.
Yeah, and I think also, like, we've been seeing so many of these Varus bans. I imagine it's being experimented with a lot. We've been seeing more 80 carries used on the top side of the map than we have in a really long time. And so I think this is what the scientists have discovered is one of the possible answers.
And it shows that Perfect is like a scholar, right? He's like, okay, I've seen this matchup in the LPL. I've studied it myself in solo queue. You know, probably has actually had some scrims with it as well. And he's like, okay, I see what people are doing with this. I'm going to practice this because this could happen to me. They could flex the Varus top, and I need to be ready for that. And he absolutely was, at least in terms of the pick.
Yeah, it looks like it's not played in solo queue all that often towards the top side of the map. But maybe my stats are a little bit off at the moment. That's all right, Cuz not going to be contesting any grubs right now. As you can see, gold advantages across the board here for D+.
Yeah, and this is going to be triple grubs for a really strong comp.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is a TF comp.
Yeah.
You don't really want to give them triple grubs.
But they just don't really have a choice here, as Showmaker's playing this laning phase pretty well. Has a lot of prio, as the Nefiri cannot look for the all-in just yet. Shu actually has his exhaust back, so that's a big problem for Perfect to try to make something happen there. And I think this lane, the timings for Perfect trying to snowball it are kind of gone. He's just going to have to join team fights and hope that he can get accelerated elsewhere. And he won't have teleport, obviously, for a really long time, so he's kind of trapped in this bad lane. Kind of like he was in the previous game on the Yorick, where a lot of resources were given and he just had to huddle under the turret. It's going to be the same story here for a while. We know he blossomed into a huge Yorick in Game 2 and was able to make a massive impact. I'm not necessarily sure that that's going to be the same case here.
Yeah, I feel like Nefiri might be a slightly different champion, although it does have minions. So I guess there's that, you know, the little hot dogs and ghouls. I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah, he
Pretty sure.
will struggle to do consistent damage, but can be a big assassin threat alongside BDD here. The Trundle can help set it up. Obviously, Polymorph makes it easier for BDD to hit charms. Smash does not have Cleanse, because he wanted to crush this lane. And so, you know, if a charm hits him, he's in trouble a lot of the time. Obviously, Lantern can do wonders for you.
Yep, does also want to have Mikhail's on career as quickly as possible. Might be able to get one, but right now you can see putting that pickaxe and serrated dirk to work here, as aiming is taking a fair bit. As Lantern is offered, Arc of Ruin comes on through as aiming presses his R button just before this dragon gets started by KT.
I think they have too much control. Showmaker's just going to look for plates.
Well, Chains of Corruption is thrown out, and in goes Perfect. Teleport from Showmaker, though, and the exhaust is down. Shu is going to be the one to lock down the second kill here for DK. This time, they don't both die to the turret, and so we're going to say that that one's a positive here for DK, but KT do lock down the Drake.
Yeah, this is a really good call from D+. Showmaker was on the turret and decided, okay, we're going to go for a dive here. I think Perfect realized very quickly what was going on. He's like, okay, Showmaker's going to come. I need to be able to come over here and deal with this, but is not able to, with the Ambessa also showing up there, deal with the dive. So he does fall, and the aggro is juggled correctly. Look at where Showmaker is. He drops, you know, he pushes that whole wave in, then drops the aggro on the turret, comes over here. Perfect goes for the W early, but then still gets stunned. Showmaker holds. Very calm play here. Lucid no longer has turret aggro. BD is unable to clear the wave in time to turn that into a play.
Yep, had a great charm onto Lucid, but wasn't able to make anything of it. So KT still killless so far in this game, 2,500 gold behind.
Yeah, this is, I feel like the news does not get better for a while here for KT in this draft.
Well, this is the problem. A draft like this from DK, it almost doesn't matter what your opposition comp is. It only matters whether you're ahead. Because TF in a side lane can just be so incredibly annoying.
And
then you're spending the entire game just pulling them around the map. And they were already doing it in the last game with that weird draft that they had there. Not that this is any less weird, but they're still doing it. So
well, it's definitely Showmaker, I think, looking at last game and saying, listen, you know, this is absolutely our win in terms of the macro, in terms of the map reads. We are outplaying them hard. Give me my World Skin Twisted Fate.
Give me my favorite champ.
And I will do it again. And Unfortunately, this Trundle pick feels like it's really holding KT back.
It was a weird choice. I feel like they were hovering something that made a lot of sense. Like the Galio was a consideration. They were thinking about locking down something for BDD. And then they moved to this Trundle, which it is one of those picks that can be very strong, but it's more of an answer rather than the statement, you know?
It really is. It almost always is. I mean, there was a time where we had Trundle first picks in the LCK, and he was a little bit overtuned and was doing really well, and we were seeing tanks every game.
Yeah, it's because you had to play a tank support, right?
Exactly. So, like, that was different, and this is something that doesn't fully make sense to me. Maybe there was a big pivot in the draft, but Smash has his Collector. You know, the Kraken Slayer is done here for aiming as well. We're looking at, you know, a team fight up here on Herald in 2 minutes' time that I think KT really need to win to get the momentum back in this game, but I just don't know how they're going to do that.
Well, Xiu lining up some of those Blight stacks, and you can see Perfect really does not want those procced.
No.
And we'll just go on target, but that has a long cooldown, though. And Showmaker, Destiny up and available once again, and he just used it, and that means he's dead. Beautiful play. I think Showmaker must have said, like, hey, wait, let me know when he uses his on-target ability, and then we kill him. And that is precisely what they did.
That's why the Nefiri is so good into Twisted Fate and is often picked in the jungle when Twisted Fate is out. Like, Raptor has schooled everyone on this, Pioshik has schooled everyone on this, but
the thing is, like, when you're in lane, you have to use it to avoid trades, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's one of your lane abilities, but it doesn't give you any defensive tools when it's on cooldown, and he didn't have flash. So Showmaker's just like, all right, I'm here for another hot dog. And he delivers it to Xiu, who, by the way, he was 1,200 gold ahead before that kill. He's now 1,800 gold ahead. He has almost the whole turret. I think this draft has kind of failed here for KT Rolster, and I think that without aiming, having the Yunara equivalent of a Zeri moment here in a big upcoming team fight, I just don't know if they ever catch up. I mean, Ardent Sensor's picked up here, but he doesn't have a traditional front line in this draft. He has a Trundle and a Fury, and hopefully BDD charms somebody and he gets the first kill, then maybe he could snowball a team fight, but there's so many threats. Like, he could get gold carded, he could get hooked. One of those things can lead into the other, into the Ambessa ultimate. Smash?
Well, he's not going to be able to click the Lantern, as Smash has to get out of there, aiming flashes after him. Moonlight Vigil goes down. The hook connects from Korea, but he doesn't follow up as Lucid turns up. And Cuz is going to get smoked. They still get the ulti out as Lucid dives forward. I just don't know whether he really wanted to. The death sentence isn't that this time. His career is going to miss. Has to flash. No one's dead.
Wow.
What the heck just happened?
Incredible play from aiming there in that situation, but Career, man, I was not familiar with his Thresh game. And I feel like I should have been with how I am watching this unfold thus far. Imagine if he had Blitzcrank.
Yeah.
And even worse with how the hook accuracy is looking so far. Showmaker does not have ult here, but maybe aiming overextends.
He does have flash. Oh, he doesn't press the button. Just going to come down here and deal with this minion wave. Looks like Smash will pick up shop in mid, as that wave is crashing on forward. I think Korea will be able to pick that one up.
He picked up 2 assists early on, but he obviously has his passive, so he's generated a massive lead himself, which sometimes is a fake lead, but in this game, when he's got his Rod of Ages online this quickly, and the Lich Bane is coming soon, he's also stacked 2 Dark Seals, and that can obviously snowball. I think this game is like potentially about to blow for D+. Like, they're about to become so unstoppable that KT can't do anything. What they did in that last fight was impressive with the spacing from aiming there. He maximized damage through his ult and was able to push those melees away. The Trundle Wild Growth combo really helped them out, but I don't know if KT get many more of those even fights if things continue this way. They need to make a play, and they just don't have the playmaking champions. I mean, BDD's on Ahri, but who does he charm? Who does he go in on?
Whoa, the flash gold card comes on through as, oh, effort! Get you a support like effort, everyone! Flashes in front of aiming and just dies.
Yeah, well, I mean, aiming is going to try to see what he can get off of that wave. I don't know if he gets much.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's even worth it. Maybe just letting aiming die would have been fine. As, all right, in goes the Nefiri. Call of the Pack comes on through as now the rest of KT are going to turn up. Flash is available here for Xiu, and Showmaker turns up to defend his top laner. Lucid's here as well, and so Xiu goes unpunished.
Xiu going to be totally fine here, just kind of walks off, doesn't even have to exhaust.
Yeah, and Perfect is just kind of falling further and further behind.
Yeah, he and this Ahri in the mid lane are just not necessarily ever going to make an impact in this game because they have expiration dates. Aiming is the one who's going to get fresher as the game goes on. He's going to be the one who's a bigger problem to deal with. but there are just so many tools to deal with him. Whereas even if you kill Smash, for example, you know, if you get on top of him with this Nefiri Ahri, you got to deal with the Varus. You know, you got to deal with the Twisted Fate. As aiming here gets stunned, Effort flashes to block the hook he knows is coming.
Oh, it's that Alistair video from 2010, man.
오케이.
As Effort.
스페 노플. 너 살아봐. 그냥 내가 해줄게.
Yeah, yeah, it's like get out.
스페
Wow,
노스펠.
that was actually pretty incredible, but it's cute and all, but it doesn't really change the story, unfortunately.
And I think that Steven Max was there like, oh man, it would have been really cool if we had killed the AD carry. As, all right, there's the exhaust down, flashes over Cuz to get over towards Lucid, but aiming comes in to shut down this Varus. Showmaker is now in amongst everyone and should be taken out. BDD's on the board now as well, as in the meantime, Smash is just ripping things to shreds in the mid lane.
Is he going to get out, though? I think he should probably leave. They're looking for a lantern. Yeah.
He should be able to take that if he does want to get out, but aiming is going to be able to answer. DK, hold on to this 4,000 gold lead. As perfect. Still wishes that he could hit a few more of these daggers, but it's okay.
It definitely felt like a win that KT shouldn't have been able to get that kill onto Showmaker, but ultimately it puts a small dent in the gold graph, but I don't know if it's really going to change the overall story yet, but it's a big win. And aiming now has a second item.
And BDD being on the board as well, as far as money is concerned, is a big deal. He has his second item as well.
Yeah, his 2-item spike versus Lichbane plus 6 stacks of Rod of Ages for Showmaker, feeling pretty good for BDD to make plays like what we saw here. As, you know, Trundle can help set up the Ahri, gives you a little bit less space here. This was actually really well played by BDD. And then Showmaker just comes in because he's expecting Lucid is going to have some sort of follow-up here, but he does not.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, he just is a donation.
And now everyone was there for KT as well.
And now they're trying to siege here. And, you know, I just don't think they really can right now. They want to get aiming more money if they can. They know he's really strong at team fighting at this moment in time, and they have a lot of upfront damage and CC here with this Ahri pick to potentially get him set up to get enough kills to get huge early, because they know that if the later this game goes, it's going to be so much tougher to set up those picks. But D+ are playing respectfully. Well, Lucid, maybe he's not.
Lucid is going to need to get on over towards that lantern, does do so, as the Kennel not exactly in the right position. Is perfect. Comes back down to face off against Shiu, who is very scary. Dusk and Dawn is going to be coming in as the second item after that Hex Plate. And this Varus, sort of hybrid, wacky auto attack AP Varus, just really does a whole bunch of damage. And that second item is now complete.
Yeah, he got set in the top lane because of this item. And it was nerfed in part because of him as well, but he's still very relevant, still does huge damage. And KT are going to have to, for now, bide their time. Now, they do have 2 dragons. And Mountain, you know, it feels like it's not amazing for either team, but it would really help the kind of battle power of the Yunara Ahri here for KT.
Yeah, and getting tankier is going to be very good for both compositions, but probably best, like, KT just kind of win no matter what, because Cuz will become massive with the extra stats he can subjugate from his opposition.
He also gets, you know, a lot from Wild Growth, as we saw already several times this game. You know, he is a real threat that can allow the Yunara, like, he kind of becomes a tank temporarily to allow the Yunara to do all that damage if the CC is down. And aiming did take cleanse, and because of that, you know, it's a faster Ardent Sensor here for Effort.
Oh, Lucid lurking here, because is down here as well as Effort.
It's definitely the pressure point on the map right now. Everyone's grouped. Dragon in 12 seconds.
Yeah, Showmaker coming on over. They want to deny this soul point. Shiu is going to be the target as aiming turns up just to wipe out the wave.
Shiu needs to be very careful. He has no flash. His exhaust is coming up soon, but isn't ready yet.
I just
play through range.
It's a very difficult composition to play for objectives, right? DK really want to be splitting the map and forcing little skirmishes, things like this. But now playing the 5v5 is going to be a tough one as Showmaker looking to try and make it awkward as BDD is rotating over.
Herald.
Sid diving on in. The Herald is going to come down. Maybe that's the front line that they require. As Cuz not going to be able to get the smite. Now Lucid diving on forward is now perfect in trouble. Calls the pack. But I think he's still going to be in trouble. Korea looking for a little bit of an engage angle as Shelly might be able to get a knock-up, but instead he just bonks her head against the wall, finds the death sentence into Cuz though! And he's going to get wiped out. Smash does so much DPS, however, Moonlight Vigil just barely connects! And Lucid is there with the follow-up! My goodness, DK!
What a god tier ultimate there from Lucid. Absolutely insane. The Moonlight Vigil coming through as well. And it's the Herald that causes so many problems for KT. They're trying to burst it down after they lose the Dragon to make sure that it does not give them grief in the upcoming skirmish, and it absolutely does. As watch, the Herald gets dropped here, and they're like, okay, well, we don't get Dragon, let's try to burst this down and kite away. BD never really gets access to the fight, and Career is able to board the Herald here at range. And then BD is pushed away by Showmaker, and as he gets out here, Cuz is caught by the hook. Career is having the series of his life, man.
I mean, and the Pike was basically useless. How do you go from that Pike game to this level of Thresh?
His early game was okay, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it was a 40-minute game.
He did some things, but it was otherwise pretty forgettable. But this is not. This is so good out of this guy.
He is really controlling this entire game, and it's a 6,000 gold lead. They get the first Dragon, and
they got a Baron.
Yeah, KT are now going to kind of struggle to defend these turrets. You know, there's a lot of money standing on the map here. Shiyu is attacked.
Chains of Corruption is going to connect onto aiming, but he also manages to find that Arc of Ruin. Doggos get mad, but they are not going to be able to get their mark. As out goes Shiyu. They do get the flash of the Varus. Certainly a huge deal here, as the rest of DK were rotating up. And playing for sides is certainly something that they want to do, but KT, if they can actually manage to get a few of these picks, especially with some flashes now down.
If this turret was lower on health, they would actually look like a real threat here, but because it's at half, they don't have a Herald, they can't even really proc that Crystalline Overgrowth, and they're going to have to walk away. This comp dives incredibly well with an Inferi Ahri, even with the Trundle Pillar helping out substantially, but they just don't have the ability to go through. She was crazy!
Yeah, what is this? He's 1 versus 5 right now. The Wild Growth to try and hold him in place. He survives for such a long time as finally Perfect is able to take him down, and now Showmaker is going to pay for his sins as well. Well, and he had a lot of gusto. I like that. Buy some time for Smash,
like
I
last
guess.
time, it was the same thing where Showmaker goes in and dies, and Smash is like, all right, well, I'm going to get this turret, and I've got a Thresh to make sure I get out. So he's going to get an inner.
Well, if they don't look at the mid lane, it can't hurt them.
KT are going to get 2, like you're alluding to here. As well, at least they're going to try to get 2. They've got a lot of doggos here. They almost have another wave comes through, but they're going to back away. They do not want to get ulted by Lucid. It's a lot of gold swing here for KT.
Ah, the old, I'm going to stop his back, don't worry. And
it'll be
1,000 people turn up.
It'll be fine. It's not a dive comp. I have flash. Oh, wait, it is dive comp. I don't have flash. Then Showmaker is just trying to do his due diligence here, and he is, once again, just kind of comes out of the Destiny Gate, and he's like, wait, everything's on fire.
Yeah, a little bit. But it's still a 5,000 gold lead here for DK. They still have a lot of control, and a few Barons still left up and available. But the Rebel Baron power play is very small.
I don't think this means that much yet, but 1 or 2 more of these types of picks, and then, you know, it's an Ahri that's a little bit out of control, and the Yunara is online. And so that shouldn't happen. That can't happen if you're a D+ fan. If you're D+ in this game, you just need to be a little bit more careful about how you approach these setups. You don't need to greed that hard for a backstop. In this situation, you're already so far ahead.
The thing is that is on my mind, and has been on my mind for almost this whole game, is, like, what is it? Is it, like, Kitchen Nightmares or MasterChef? You know, as far as, like, these comps are definitely quite different. Obviously, we did see Flandre play the Neferi already on the top side of the map, but it's new for us here in the LCK.
I think, unfortunately, with this Trundle, the Neferi pick is really... It's not hitting for me. I think there's a lot of ways it could work. And
it wasn't hitting in lane either.
No. And I think if the Trundle is playing into any type of tank of any sort, then it works a lot better. I mean, Ambessa, you can get some good stats from that, but it's not, doesn't feel like it's super high value. I'm kind of leaning towards Breath of the Wild mistake cooking here. You can still eat it, but...
Yeah. It's dubious.
Yes.
Let's just say that. All right, well, let's see how it does work out. As right now, I have no idea who's going to win this game. There is a bunch of standing money on the map here for KT to pick up.
I think, like, I look at this and I go, if you play perfectly, KT, there's no way if both teams play perfectly from here, there's no way KT could ever win. But I'm not seeing perfect play out of anyone except Perfect, and I don't mean that he has no mistakes.
Yeah.
D Plus have made a few, and actually now they've let Prio go away. And once again, like you said, they don't want a team fight necessarily with this.
I thought you were going to say that they'd had their share of sand kicked in their face, but you didn't follow it up. That's okay, though. All right, Soul Point now on the cards for KT as Lucid gets into this banana brush. Death Sentence does go wide as Lucid gets in there on top of Cuz. Oh, the Wild Growth on Perfect is so good as they take down Smash. And now KT may have found their team fight. Shu looking to make his way in as Lucid somehow manages to get out. Chains of Corruption connects onto Effort, who McHale's himself to get on out of there. And the Dragon is now forgotten as they look to chase down DK as DK tries to make an exit via the KT base, which is not really working out. Lucid will demonstrate some release date here with Ambessa, but that's 3 on the floor, and KT just straight up destroy the team fight.
I guess Gordon Ramsay gave him an extra life with this one.
Maybe they got called back in the next season or something like that.
This,
maybe your ideas were just a little bit too forward.
Watch this doggo go up twice, okay? Look at this. Goes up, and then goes up a second time because they can't target him. They get on top of the Aphelios, instantly delete him. Showmaker's zoned down the other side. He gets the reset, gets on top of him. Still has Wild Growth on him, by the way. And Shiu over here on the other side is trying to impact this, but he's a Varus, and there are just too many bad guys. And now, KT in a pretty commanding position in this game, almost what felt like with a snap of your fingers. And that Neferi engage was phenomenal. It was not something I thought we were going to be seeing too much of this game because Perfect was just so far behind. I thought, okay, he's just never really going to be able to get in there. They're not going to be the he's not going to be the Wild Growth target. It's just going to be defensively onto aiming to try to let him go through, or maybe onto Cuz if he gets up into the thick of things. But yeah, this is something KT has shown us already before with the Nocturne, right? The Nocturne Lulu was kind of their thing. They smashed T1 with it early on in week 1.
Yeah.
And this feels very similar in terms of execution.
They're making it work. And I didn't know that Neferi was picked for the team fight value. I thought it was kind of picked as an answer to this Varus, but that is not actually the case.
I think both can necessarily true. Like it ends up being utilized this way. I don't know if that was always the plan, but they made it look like the plan in that last fight as Perfect and Effort pull it off. The confidence that KT play with here, down 5,000 gold, put it down to 3K here.
Yeah, this is anyone's game now, is what it feels like.
Are kind of getting run around the map a little bit by Showmaker and D plus Kia, which was a big problem in game 2, but team fighting good. If they can get Prio on objectives and keep playing like that, sky's the limit, like you said. Looks like maybe they could actually upset here, despite the deficits, despite the early game struggles.
Well, Cuz may have overextended, finds a kennel for Showmaker, as Glitterlands does go a little bit wide, but Showmaker level 17 right now, with his Rod of Ages helping him out in that department. Has Rapid Fire Cannon now complete. Wants to build towards probably a Death Cap coming in next, unless he wants to play it a bit more defensive with the Zhonya's, but I would have assumed the Arm Guard would have come in first if that was the case. It's all right, Smash. They just get dove on here as once again the doggo comes forward. He takes the lantern, but Smash may just die, and there's a Wild Growth to make sure that Perfect stays alive. Aiming, collects the double. Lucid might be the triple, but it's Cuz that chomps down on his opposition as Shiu is just flashing for the wave to try and wipe it out as Perfect is now able to get on top of Showmaker as well. I didn't know. It's Neferi's picked for her late game power. Yeah, that's obviously what it is.
I'm actually mind blown that this is happening, and it's happening now twice in a row. Like, watch this fight here. Smash is like actually not in a bad spot. He's got a Thresh, okay? Career's like, yeah, all right, I've seen this before. But he takes so much damage, and then the Wild Growth onto Cuz over the wall. BDD here for the follow-up, and she was just so late to the fight.
And the charm out of BDD also gorgeous at the end there.
It's just like, instantly it's over. GG, bye-bye. Who cares about your win cons? Who cares about your side lanes? I'm up in your face. I am actually kind of floored that this is working. I thought this game was done a while ago. I thought D+'s comp is brilliant from the lead they had, and then suddenly team fights happen, Wild Growths happen, and everything changes. I mean, this is a swing of 7,000 gold in this game.
Yeah.
And it will be more as they start to get these outer turrets on the map.
So that first outer does go down on the top side as far as this Baron play is concerned. It's up to 1,500 so far, as Shiu in this side lane is trying to do what he can. But this is the problem, right? I mean, Shiu is the last gold lead left, and aiming is so big. 4-0 and 6 on this Yunara. And I don't know what DK are going to be able to do to try and answer this, but it's not team fighting. That's just not what this comp is good at.
I think they have to use their CC to kill him, but the problem is they're not starting the fight.
Yep.
It's KT.
Perfect's going in once again. Does get out of there, though, as we can see. The rest of DK do turn up.
He has a QSS now as well, so he can kind of on command use his W the way he wants to set these fights up with Wild Growth. Effort has Wild Growth back available. D+ need to be careful.
Yeah, KT also need to be careful. DK have a lot of damage with Smash and Shiu, when Shiu does get over here. Showmaker can turn up as well. Destiny and Gate both up. And if KT ever want to run away, it gets very difficult if you are sieging the TF.
Oh, perfect with the sidestep here. They're playing so slow, so methodical.
And also, how are you supposed to ever hit hook onto Nefiri, right? Yeah. There's just doggos everywhere. That's all right. BDD looks for the angle onto Shiu, does not find it. Well, this time.
Sparran is really opening up the map here for KT quite substantially.
Okay, Perfect looking for it. Oh, Lucid. He's like, does he see me? The answer is no, actually. He was just looking for an angle.
BDD is ult on cooldown now.
Yep. Not for very long, though.
Control wards. And we're grouped up 10 seconds until Mountain Soul here for KT.
Oh, and Showmaker did decide to go for the arm guard, so that will help him be a little bit more safe. As Shiu with his Zhonya's is able to go into stasis, but that is a big cooldown. Not available for the next fight. This is Mountain Soul up for KT.
All eyes on Perfect. Smash has to be so careful with his positioning, but I mean, it's targeted his ultimate, and when that Wild Growth hits, he dies. TP, or rather Destiny.
Yeah, goes in onto BDD. Showmaker holds onto the gold card. Is able to throw it down there as Lucid gets on over the wall. Perfect! Looks to try and get in on top of them once again as the charm connects onto Showmaker, but this time he's going to be okay. Lucid coming on down. Can he stop this Drake from being taken by Cousin? He is! Shiu now going to get turned up by Aiming, though, who has so much money and so much damage. Kuz gets the Wild Growth this time and flashes on top of Smash, but he does have to get himself out of the way as DK look to regain some control. My God, where did the Lulu go? BDD now in trouble. He does manage to take down one on his way out as Aiming is looking to kite as best he can. And the smite onto Kuz is there. Showmaker, he knows he has the rapid fire cannon now available. And the rest of KT are trying to run away. This is still so dangerous for both of these teams as Aiming finds a minion wave and will be able to take that one down, but they deny the soul, and that's the big deal.
I still don't even have words for this game. Like, D+ come back in, the smite is good, they end up pushing Perfect. Perfect is on the edge here trying to punish Showmaker from coming through. BDD has to go golden instantly here, and look at this ult from Perfect. It's on the Smash, but there's just not enough damage, and unfortunately, Effort's not in position to Wild Growth and a Fury this time, and that may have actually worked out in KT's favor because he's able to do it on the Kuz here after the smite comes through here from Lucid. Aiming deletes the Varus, and then boom, double knock up here. Lucid's forced away. So much of the damage is gone here for the side of D+. That ultimate whipping, yeah, is so huge here. And look at that damage coming through. Imagine if that Moonlight Vigil hits. Aiming has to back away. BDD with his last
absolute heroism to kill Smash there.
I don't even feel like I could say words to do justice of what both of these teams are doing here. And this 1-in-4 Twisted Fate right now, you know, is able to do so much if they can find the angles. But Mikhail's W available, obviously, for Nefiri a lot of the time. He has QSS, and the Yunara has Cleanse. It's just not really hitting in team fights, unfortunately, the way that Showmaker wanted it to. And they had so much control of this game, but once they lost it, KT have had so many potential ins, and they're looking for another Wild Growth combo here.
Yeah, Aiming level 17 now. And just needs to finish off his Mercurial Scimitar, and he will have full build. Pretty close here for Smash, but does have one more item slot to fill. The Aphelios is very scary.
Have really had struggles breaking the base in this series. But they are waiting for the Sparran to spawn. They're going to maintain control of the mid lane. BDD actually dropping top wave to come over here.
Yeah, Shiu is going to be able to walk up towards the top lane, but was just hoping to get some vision of everyone here in the jungle. He does manage to do so with the help of Showmaker's Destiny. That is now a decent cooldown that is away as now Perfect goes in one more time.
Effort wasn't here, though. That was a pretty bizarre choice.
Yeah, finally Effort will turn up. So no ulti here for Perfect for the next little while. That's a big deal. That gives DK the confidence to push out this mid wave and get control around the Baron.
I don't think D+ knew Effort wasn't there, so now they just gave up Baron control to D+ pretty easily. Shiu also on this flank, but is seen on a ward.
Yeah, no way to clear that one out. So DK, he should be able to slink back towards the Baron. VOD looking for a little bit of an angle here as the flash hook from Korea is not going to connect. And now VOD dashing forward, looking for Showmaker. He gets cleansed. And will be able to take the Lantern if he wants to make his way back towards his teammates. As Shiu lurking on a flank angle as well, but Perfect wants to dive in on top of Showmaker. He has the Zhonya's. He just flashes out of the way instead. Still, KT have all 5 members here. And this Nefiri ultimate is back up again.
Okay, Showmaker is so fortunate he had Unsealed Cleanse there, is able to escape, and will be able to TP back in if he can complete this back, and he does.
Oh, okay, Death Sentence. Barely going to go wide.
This is the game-deciding fight, very likely.
Teleport comes forward from Showmaker. The rest of the team are there to defend.
Perfect.
Starting this is
back.
absolutely crazy, but a teleport from VOD will bring him back in with full health. Cuz wanting to walk his way forward, but he is a trundle. Getting into the pit is so hard, and this Baron is just gone. Shiu has to flash to get out of the way of aiming, but he's unable to kill Shiu and lands a lot of damage. Now Perfect dives in on top of Smash, but he takes a Lantern to get towards the rest of the team. The public execution could have been the end of the game, but it does not land, and VOD executes the Varus. And oh, okay, Perfect is going to survive for now. Showmaker knows in an extended trade he's not going to win out on that one, but DK get the Baron.
They couldn't link together Perfect's ult and Effort's Wild Growth. Effort actually doesn't Wild Growth the fight because he can't get access. Look at the setup here for D+. It looks like a risky Baron, but they're able to track the Nefiri's on the off angle here, and VOD is late to the fight, so they hold the Baron aggro. VOD shows up late. Shiu ends up sacrificing a lot of his health bar here to make this happen, but look, when Perfect goes in, Effort just cannot close the gap. He's dealing with Lucid. He's dealing with that smash damage. This Lulu is just so squishy. Cannot actually set this up. Now, VOD ends up getting that kill, finishes off Shiu, who sacrificed all of his health to deny any sort of flanks from the left side there. Now they're trying to turn this into something in that 15-second interim before Shiu respawns, but I just don't think they can get it now. 5 seconds on Dragon, though.
Yeah, exactly. This is just gone. That is Mountain Soul. Over to KT. Yeah, they're just never going to get there.
Yeah, they just cannot. They had to back. Their health bars were too low, and the timing of this works in KT's favor, so this is going to be a lot of extra stats here for all of these champions. We talked about how powerful it would be for either team, and KT are the ones who lock it down in the end.
Yeah, you can see a ping on the enemy Nexus turret. Love that. That's going to be coming on forward here. I don't know whether that is a realistic goal right now, as Lucid has to dash his way out of there. Does have a few of those in his hands, but he's going to have to flash as well. Takes the Lantern. The mobility kind of ludicrous as now Showmaker getting turned on by VOD. The exhaust comes on through here as well as the pillar is not quite enough, but VOD finds the charm, of course he does, and it's aiming that picks up the kill onto the Twisted Fate. The rest of TK trying to get these waves pushed out, and all of them have been very pushed out.
Yeah, I don't know if that's worth actually flashing 2 flashes to kill Showmaker. The pillar doesn't land. VOD has to flash as well. And they end up just losing a turret and losing bottom side control of the wave as well. I get it, you want to get the punish here, but it just does not ultimately really feel worth it, as Lucid is the one who's initially caught, but he flashes away, and then the Lantern is there, so VOD shifts his focus because he wants to make value out of this ultimate. And then watch this, Cuz, oops, fail flash, pillar misses. VOD is here, so 2 flashes expended. They get Showmaker, but he'll be back on the map in 20 seconds, and Baron is still in their hands. Now, what can KT get done in the next 15 seconds? Maybe if they proc that Crystalline Overgrowth, they could start to threaten this inhibitor, but easier said than done.
Yeah, they will be able to take down this turret, though, very quickly.
10 seconds, and they have enough damage. They're actually going to get this. That's massive. I didn't think they were going to actually be able to get that done, but we are 40 minutes into this game, and aiming is full build.
Yeah, if aiming looks at stuff, it kind of explodes.
So my heart has kind of exploded throughout this series. I don't even know, like, one way or the other, I'm going to be happy with the result because this has been one of the best series we've seen this year, but
I feel
it's chaotic.
Yeah, I feel at the moment, I feel like KT has a lot of control because Mountain Soul is such a big deal.
It's permanent.
DK, if their composition is going to win, they need to blow up targets, and all of them just became a whole lot more tanky. And Cuz is going to be a real tank as he keeps building these items. Right now he's a Bandle Piper.
Yeah.
But as he gets more and more, Thornmail might be on the way, right? He's got Randuin's already.
I am just
level 20 Nefiri, level 20 Varus.
I'm most concerned about the fact that D+ don't seem to be able to get this Twisted Fate across the map to threaten sides. You know, Showmaker made a large impact early, but also kind of donated a lot of money, didn't really end up getting as much value as we expected with the lead that they had. And if KT can maintain prio for this Baron, it seems guaranteed to be theirs. Their team fight power is incredible. Their Yunara is full build. They have the wild growth combos we've talked about so much here. And Yunara has, or sorry, the Naafiri has obviously the QSS, so much safety, can kind of guarantee I'm killing a target. And D+ are on the red side, so it's tougher for them to come over and challenge vision of this Baron pit in the first place. So,
I mean, they do have an Ambessa. So actually, like, red side Ambessa can do a decent job getting into that pit. With their ulti and just billion dashes, things like this.
Might be able to steal the Baron, but will you win the fight? You know, the fight seems to be more critical than the Baron itself, although the Baron has obviously bought D+ a lot of time in this game. I mean, it's only a 1,000 gold lead at 42 minutes. I mean, how close of a game is this in terms of money? KT have so much map control, though, and it's 80 seconds till that Baron spawns. You can see they're not pushing the issue or trying to go into D+'s base or set up any dives. They're not even using their cooldowns. BD and Cuz's flashes are still down here, but they just want to maintain vision control, deep vision control around that pit, and utilize this mid inhibitor being down to just guarantee that prio and make sure that they can take this Baron fight on their terms. Because with Baron, at 45 minutes in this game, they should be able to just crack open the base and win the game. So this is their in-game win con, and they're just playing through vision first, and they're playing very carefully.
Yeah. A very cool hat was just built by Showmaker. We have full build for Smash as well. Might want to replace an item or two here. Maybe the collector needs to go for something else. But otherwise, it's a very scary Aphelios. Not exactly with the greatest weapons right now. Like a Crescendum is perfect. Diving on forward. This is actually pretty fantastic, though, for late game ultis.
Yes.
The Infernum. So
it's great for Baron. If you are able to hit that ultimate in the Baron pit, it is absolutely what you want.
All right, aiming is public enemy #1 as far as DK are concerned.
10 seconds. No vision for D+ just yet.
All right, BDD pinged out. They know that he's towards the top side.
They want to let this Minion wave and BDD's push do the heavy lifting and then move back to the shadows. D+ have literally no vision. Nothing, none. Not even on the red buff here, and so they're going to have to leapfrog their way through, and that makes them vulnerable targets. It's not the Baron itself, it's the threat of the Baron that pushes D+ forward, and now Shiu's caught!
Yeah, he is, but is he actually? As he does make BDD go golden, flashes over the wall here. And that does mean that he will make it to safety. Teleport available, the one that he stole from his quest. And will be able to use that to get back to the rest of his team. But with no flash, this Varus is so much less deadly.
If they could buy space here, they can make it an Elder trade for Baron. Elder's up in 50 seconds. They're more prio control over that side of the map.
Yeah, if they're trying to force that sort of trade.
TP in for Shiu. This game is just never going to stop being tense. Showmaker taking some poke.
Yeah, he was looking for an angle there. Locked that gold card.
Pillar on
See what else he can find. Yeah, Pillar is going to be answered by the Lantern. Lucid going forward is aiming, thinks he's found an angle as he cleanses. Chains of Corruption goes right and in goes perfect. Finds another wild growth angle, but he has to flash away. The rest of DK bought the spaces. There is the flashing from Showmaker, and Lucid takes the Lantern. He stays alive, but the Arc of Judgment comes in from aiming. Showmaker manages to go into stasis here, but BDD will be able to finish it off. And KT, after the long game has been played, they're looking to take it. The charm connects yet again as BDD is absolutely a robot. He's too good at League of Legends. 4 on the floor. Career, the last one standing. And KT will remain undefeated in the LCK for 2026.
They'll keep that perfect record. And they will take D+ out again. Showmaker looks dejected. They had all the momentum in the world after finally beating Genji after so many years.
They got decked.
Inhibitor respawn, but there's 4 dead.
Yeah, they're not respawning this time around as Lucid's still got 16 seconds. Korea's going to try his best, but the Nexus will go down. What an absolute marathon here for both of these teams, but an absolute joy to watch. And in the end, it's KT to continue that winning streak with 5 in a row.
Man, POM is so hard for me. It's BDD or Perfect, right? I mean, Perfect had the incredible Yorick game. BD was incredibly consistent across both.
I mean, aiming deserves a shout as well.
Yeah, his final team fight there. But the poke from the Naafiri actually really added up and put a timer on D+ there.
Maybe it's effort just for that flash. Leapfrogging his AD carry so that he could die for him.
I'm going to give it to Perfect because he played Naafiri, he lost lane, he had a really rough time, but still made an incredible impact in the rest of the late game. The York was, I mean, you can't overstate it. I think BDD deserves it as well. And you mentioned aiming, effort, a great game. Cuz probably not going to get it, but he had a decent series as well. And I think BDD's got the crest of courage from Digimon right there. And I think you could definitely feel some of TK's energy, or sorry, Ty's energy. TK is his younger brother, but could feel the energy there.
I just think that this series was just an absolute joy.
And to correct myself, TK is Matt's younger brother. I'm just too excited about this. Not about KT, of course.
Yeah, no, you would never be.
I just want to get the Digimon reference.
Do you know what the best part is, Wolf? You're also no longer bored by KT.
No.
That's what we were in the past. But this series, this is a very different style of KT.
This series broke me in the best way possible. I just felt captivated by it. You know? It's not every day you get to have 2 back-to-back 40-minute-plus games where not until the very moment that the last team fight is decided you know who's going to win. You can have your ideas, you can have your opinions, you can have a feeling of who's in control. And we thought KT was in control of this game for sure, but you know, any mistake, any real error from them, and they would have lost the game. And with how well the macro was played from D+ in game 2, you were kind of like, who knows? Shiyu made such an impact in terms of the laning phase, was able to do a lot in the early game, but was often a liability, I think, for D+ outside of it. It was one of the best targets that KT were able to find.
I mean, it was always going to be a difficult composition to play if it came to team fights. It just looked like they were snowballing so effectively in the early game, they should have been able to make something happen. This fight for DK, absolutely gorgeous. But it was this here, the first real big utilization of these wild growth combos that KT were finding in the mid to late game.
Yeah, just absolutely insane. I cannot believe KT came back in this game. I would have written them off. I mean, I did write them off. I would have like bet almost anything on KT losing this game after what happened in the early mid. And they just kept fighting. They just kept wrestling Prio away. They kept team fighting better than D+. And even though D+ had so many threats and so much CC, the builds were great. Like the QSS was a fantastic choice for Perfect. They had the Mikhails, they had the Cleanse. And it was just really difficult for D+ to actually choose the right target to CC.
Yeah, let's have a listen to KT as they close this one out, because this last team fight was absolute chaos, but it was played so well. This opening salvo with so many buttons, but then pulling it back.
Yeah, going
and then gaining reposition, like they take Lucid's GA.
Polymorph him, get the dash forward here. BDD flashes on the Showmaker while dodging the hook. Insanity!
BDD is, he might actually be a robot, Wolf.
I'm starting to wonder, like, for real.
That charm as well? I mean, it's all adding up. So I don't know whether a person should be able to do that.
This is like, I mean, some of the stuff we're seeing from BDD this season reminds me of like the early days of Faker, where your mind is blown constantly.
Yeah.
And BDD
I was looking at the cleanse, I was looking at the moves, and I was thinking, BDD, what was that?
I will be happy if anyone gets it. Maybe not Cuz, but I mean, I'll be happy for him, but I don't think he should get it, but anyone else, and I am totally okay with it.
Yep. I think Aiming had a great series, but for me, it's always BDD and Perfect in this one. The way Perfect played the Yorick was absolutely unstoppable. I've kind of forgotten what happened in game 1.
I would not be shocked if we're doing tiebreakers on the votes right now.
Yeah, it might actually be what we're trying to figure out, is like, is it allowed to have 2 POMs because this series went for so incredibly long? That might be another question, as it's going to be Aiming that picks it up in the games that they won, 12-2-12, which is a pretty, that's a fun number.
In that insane last game, he dies 0 times.
That may have had something to do with why KT were able to win.
Yeah, he has to deal with Gold Card. Okay, he has to deal with the Thresh, who, by the way, Career had an amazing performance on the Thresh.
Oh my goodness.
RSCC, Mbessa doesn't die, doesn't overextend. Aiming looks better with effort, and I don't know if like I can quantify that in my brain, but he just looks more measured. He's not getting caught. He's not overextending. He's playing hyper-aggressive in the right moments like he did in that final team fight. He's just an evolution of him, evolution of Perfect. Cousin BDD still firing on all cylinders. It's just a different team, and you change one part of this roster, and everything just...
Yeah, I don't know. This was like only a few months ago, a revolving door of like Polo and Ghost, and we were trying to work out like where this was going to go and are they going to be able to fix it. And when they brought in effort, I had alarm bells ringing. I was like, KT are gone. They're going to sell their slot after this season because it's going to be so bad. and instead they're the greatest team in the league right now.
How can, like, it's the GM's dream. You pick up effort and you're like, yeah, this saved the team and now we're the best team in the LCK. Who could have known? Who could have thought?
I have absolutely no idea. It's just unprecedented. And even when it was a near unanimous vote for KT as well, they were still able to come out on top. So everything that we thought that we knew about this team is starting to unravel. And I just want to know that tipping point when we start to believe too much.
They are now 5-0. That means that their next win would put them tied with their record from all those years ago.
And it's DNS. I don't think DNS are going to be taking them down. I think the last hope for stopping KT's perfect first round robin is Home Life Esports, weirdly enough. I think that's the strongest team they have left.
Yeah, and I wouldn't predict them to win.
No, I wouldn't either. And I predicted DK to win. I think that there was...
they almost did!
They did almost.
You were onto something.
They weren't quite able to get over the line, and I think that means that KT will be able to do it. But as you can see, Aiming is setting up for his interview with Hedgie, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he is going to say as well, because we haven't heard from Aiming yet.
I walk away from this series feeling like, you know, I asked the question earlier, and it was kind of joking, are these the two best teams in the LCK? Maybe they are.
I don't know, maybe they'll ask Aiming right now.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Dear for the POM interview translation, joined by Aiming on the side of KT roster. Aiming, what an amazing performance. KT roster really doesn't know how to lose. How do you feel? Well, first of all, it was a very difficult and exhausting match. I'm really happy that we were able to win, and also even happier that we're able to keep our winning streak. You must have exerted so much energy since it was such an intense match, right? Yeah, it was such a long marathon, and yeah, I think I feel pretty exhausted physically. And D plus Gia in their last match successfully defeated Genji and was coming in hot. So, what was the feedback after game 1? Yeah, they were actually on a really good momentum, so we were actually expecting it to be a difficult match today, and we just really wanted to do even better. And yeah, in the end, in game 1 today, you flinched at their aggression. And after the gank, in the bot lane at level 3, we did flinch a little bit, but we were able to pick ourselves back up after in games 2 and 3. How did you guys anticipate the enemy invading game 2? I think based on their comp, they really wanted to go ahead and get prio in the early game and just create a little bit of chaos. So I think it was really easy to kind of anticipate and expect what they were trying to do early game. And in game 2, despite having the edge, the enemy's side lane pressure was relentless, and their Baron steal on top of the game got the game flowing in a strange direction. So what was it like playing in game 2? I think the enemy was able to execute and capitalize off of their comp better in the beginning, but I think we were able to sort of drag it out and win through the team fight in the end. And in game 3, during the draft phase, you guys confirmed the opponent's Varus was going top before pulling out the top Neferi. And this was actually a pick by Philandri of LPL. So was there any research behind this pick? What was the... Can you walk us through how you ended up picking this? Well, Perfect was someone who said, I'm going to win with this pick. I definitely win. So, you know, we had faith in him, but obviously he lost in the laning phase. So what do you think of top Neferi then? Well, we did win in the end. So I think we just have to kind of wait and see how it plays out. I think it's decent. And game 3, Effort actually sacrificed himself before you getting grabbed, aiming. So were you moved by this? Yeah, I think Effort really likes to make those gameplays, and I think we have been kind of joking around with each other, since we should just sacrifice for each other, and I think he actually played it off really well. So yeah, I was actually quite moved. So in game 3, the enemy had 2 AD carry champions, and they had massive damage, but KT cracked through it. So who made the call to close out this marathon? So at the very end, it was just a late game without much paying attention to who has bigger gold difference. I think it's just based off of who fights better in the late game. So I think it was really about how well we can utilize our ults. And I think in the end, I was able to go ahead and engage first. And aiming has the number 1 KDA in the LCK 2026. So let's give it up for him. What is your secret to being a king of the KDA? I feel like my team tends to set me up really well, so it's really easy for me to deal damage. So I only have to focus on my own play and just carrying out my own role, and that's what allows me to just survive and keep outputting damage. And it looks like your next opponent is DN Supers, and 9 years ago, KT Rolster recorded their longest opening winning streak at 6 wins in a row, and it is time to surpass that. So what is your mindset for that? We're on a really good winning streak and a great momentum, so I feel like my teammates are also quite skilled and very confident right now, so I hope that we can keep on pulling a really good practice to continue round 1 with a undefeated round as our goal. And any word for your fans? Thank you so much for all the support. I hope that we can keep up our performance and keep giving you a great show. And that's all from our POM aiming, and back to the desk. Thank you.